Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yes, this is Talk, and I just have to say to all of you, it was Orthodox Christmas Day yesterday.
Hallelujah, Merry Christmas, man.
And it started with one glass of champagne. What can I say? Ja nikogda na ukas vodorusi niet, which roughly says, I will never learn, do not drink any Russian vodka.
So is it Orthodox Boxing Day today?
No, that's just the end. They take down all the...
You don't even get presents. That's how orthodox it is. It's proper Christmas. Just about Jesus.
Yes. Well, I think the general view that Smirnoff is not alcoholic, let's get the good stuff out. That was the end. Yeah. That was literally the end. But I do want
excuse.
I do want to say one thing. I want to offer my sincere congratulations to some of our colleagues from The Sun over this new drama series on Hugh Edwards. Now, as you know, people like James O'Brien and all this were having a go at The Sun for exposing Hugh Edwards for what he did. In the end, I think The Sun was fully vindicated. But what I hate is when the BBC do their own drama about it and then say, oh, well, we've criticised ourselves. Now, Channel 5 and News UK are making a proper documentary about Hugh Edwards, which will expose everything. I mean, obviously, most of you are listening, but those of you watching will see Martin Clunes on the front page looking like Hugh Edwards. I think it's a really, really great thing to have done. And congratulations.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. I mean, he really does look like Hugh Edwards, doesn't he? They're a bit worrying, actually. But I'm sure it's all right. But yeah, they did the BBC did the Jim'll Savile one, didn't they, with Alan Partridge. Who's playing me? Well, I'm not in the Hugh Edwards movie. No.
I would be played by Johnny Vegas. Everybody knows that. Yeah. Or that bloke, or that Potter's little tiger.
Gary Newbon could play you. You've played Gary Newbon. That would only be... Anyway, look, Ellie's here. Ellie Hodges, political commentator, journalist, bon viveur. How are you, Ellie?
I'm great. How are you? Happy New Year.
Thanks,
Happy New Year.
And Merry Orthodox Christmas.
Yeah, absolutely. For those of you not feeling particularly great today.
It's not Boxing Day.
No, do you know what? People think it's a difference in the calendar. It's not. Orthodox Christmas Day is the last day of Christmas.
So, I mean, what does this mean, Orthodox Christmas? Are you plugged in? Is there a mic plugged in? Or can you project to my mic? Is Orthodox Christmas Day, what is it for the extra-religious Christians?
No, it's people who are Russian or Greek Orthodox or Ukrainian Orthodox or whatever.
Okay.
So, yeah, okay.
Does it work on the Hebrew calendar, then? Is it always on a different date in January?
No, I think it's... I don't know.
Interesting.
No, I think it is on the same date, actually. Oh. OK, look, I just want to talk to Ellie before we do anything else about this story that has appeared about Grok. What is Grok? Grok is an AI tool that was invented by Elon Musk. You can use it as part of X or Twitter or whatever you want to call it. What they have discovered is that you can make pornographic pictures with it. Now,
well, not naked.
Well, OK, not completely naked.
They always keep something for the imagination.
But effectively, what happens is, if you were to go on and say, as an example, I want a picture of Asher Gould in his Speedos, they will make that picture. Now, would Asher and I care about that? No. But a lot of young women are having
They'd be
pictures
devastated.
made of them, and obviously they're being circulated round. It makes them look like, you know, they've posed in a, not an unflattering, but a sexualised way. Now, they're complaining as well about children. It's fair to say that the children are not kind of, you know, only partially clothed, but you can get children posing in a sexually provocative manner, which, of course, once again, now Grok has said, if you do any of this, you'll get into trouble. But, I mean, they should just disable the tool, shouldn't they?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, obviously with all of it, really. But, I mean, if you were at home and you had Photoshop, you could get a picture of a celebrity and do it yourself anyway,
Well,
you
could, but...
And it's not really them. You know, it's an AI interpretation of what they would look like.
Yeah, but so when I worked with Danielle Nichols, I mean, her view was she'd found some pictures of herself and she was very, very upset about it because she said...
Because they were real. No, they were...
Because it looks real, and particularly, you know, some of the more sexually provocative stuff, you know, I can imagine it'd be pretty upsetting. I mean, look, what are they going to do with you and I? Just take the mickey out of us and with a big hairy chest and a big belly. But I think for young women and celebrity women, it could
any women, older women, I mean, mortally. Well, what do you think, Ellie? We got your mic sorted. What do you think about the whole situation?
I think it's really disgusting. I think that the government was able to somehow stop us seeing protest videos because of the Online Safety Act, and that was restricted. Yet every time I've opened X for the past week, it's pretty much been just pornographic images of women that are AI created.
So is it pretty prolific?
Does that just come on your algorithm?
Yeah,
because I don't get that on my algorithm.
I'm not searching anything like that.
Well, I don't get to you.
And it's consistently coming up, and I think it's probably because a lot of women that are in politics are complaining about it because they're thinking this is absolutely outrageous. And one of my friends did a lot of work into this, and it was really quite scary because she put into Grok, I'm 3 years old in this picture, put me in a bikini, and it did it.
Really?
Even though she has literally said, I am 3 years old. So there is a photo of her as a toddler. Grok thought it was appropriate to put it in a bikini. And, you know, I think that this shows that AI is is increasing faster than the government are able to deal with it, and that's across the world.
Yeah. But if I open my AI and say something like, I'm feeling a little under the weather, I'm a bit hot or whatever, and I'm feeling drowsy, it will say, do not take medical advice from this system. Right? And the point I'm making is, surely it's not beyond the realms of a possibility that Grok could simply say, we are not making that picture.
So I think ChatGPT, for example, that's much more regulated. So if you ask ChatGPT to say, put a woman in a bikini, it will say, no, I don't have the ability to do that, I'm not going to do that. Whereas if you say it to Grok, it does it immediately, so there's not that regulation that there is with other AIs.
Do you think that's for a reason? Do you think Elon Musk has thought, this is going to drive a load of audience to us? Because it will. I mean, it's disgusting, but it will. And I'm sure people talking about it, or people will go on it now and try it, so it's actually driving an audience. And he's not going to really care about the legal ramifications. So I mean, he just got fined 150 million by the EU because of these ridiculous.
Elon Musk doesn't care about it. I mean, he posted something a couple of days ago, basically taking the mick out of it and saying anything can be put in a bikini, and there's a photo of a microwave or something, and it's like, this is actually serious because for women, they feel like their privacy, and although it isn't actually them, it's still very, very personal. And it's not happening to men, is it?
But I thought about this. I thought about this the other day, and I said it to a couple of friends of mine, and it's fair to say they just thought I was mad. But if you look at any illegal images, whether that be upskirting, whether it be indecent images of children, whatever it is, right? If you think about it, even though the photos are illegal, you still don't own the copyright. So imagine now somebody upskirts you and sends it to 1,000 people. I don't see why you can't sue them for the breach of copyright, because it's your body and you haven't consented. So if somebody then makes, say, a Danielle Nichols bikini thing and distributes it, I don't understand why Danielle Nichols can't say, well, OK, I don't like the fact you've done that, but in addition to it being without my permission, it's also a breach of my copyright and I'm going to sue you.
But that's civil, isn't it? It's not criminal.
But the problem is as well,
but
you'd have to sue them.
If the government decides, if our government, for example, decides we want to sue Elon Musk over this, or an individual woman decides that, it's a drop in the ocean for Elon Musk as well.
Yeah.
So it's a very difficult situation. And I know you said earlier about Photoshop as well. I think that's different because if you're going to Photoshop something, firstly you need to have a skill to be able to do that. You have to spend a long amount of time on it, whereas with this grok thing, you can say, put this woman in a bikini, and within about 3 seconds, bam, it's there.
Well, it's like anything, isn't it? It's the barrier to entry. So, as an example, you can kill somebody with a baseball bat, but it's easier to do it with a machine gun. So, if you restrict ownership of machine guns, fewer people will be killed, right? So, if you say, well, obviously, you can use Photoshop, but it's quite hard to do it. But I still, and forgive me, but I still, in this story, have seen no justification as to why he just simply doesn't turn this feature off. I mean,
it's great publicity, though, isn't it? This is driving people to.
I mean, can you give me a bikini photo of a 5-year-old? No.
But women have started to put up this phrase where it's, I do not consent to grok making images of me, and it's still doing it.
Yeah.
So now all women are feeling like, okay, what can I actually do about this? Nothing. All power is being taken away from them. So now women are going to become increasingly paranoid to post photos of themselves on
Maya
X.
Jana today wrote a letter, didn't she, Chuck? And I'm pretending that I know about this. Tweeted a Love Island lady, and she said to grok, stop doing this, and it went viral.
Yeah, I think it should. I think it is very, very scary, and it's just another sign that, okay, the government all the time are posting things saying, we're ahead on AI, we're doing all these schemes to tackle AI. Realistically, it's very, very hard to stop how fast AI is increasing and how more powerful it's becoming.
Well, they don't know how it works. They've actually made it. It's not a program. You know what I mean? So when they need to take something out, they can say do this, but people can work out another way around it. So it's not like you can go in and change something. They can't do that. It's not that. It's a strange neuro.
Forgive my ignorance.
Neurochips.
But to the extent that this was advertised, what was the purpose of the photo editor system in grok? Has Elon Musk, by the way, you don't need to know the answer to this, has Elon Musk stood up and said the purpose of this is X, or is it just something they've added?
It will just be a program that, but because it can create images and doesn't seem like there's any real restriction on what it can create. And then when people find, okay, you can do this, and it will get more and more extreme as time goes on.
I've got to be honest with you. I open up, whether it be Instagram or YouTube, and there's all these little videos of things like, oh, you know, a gorilla standing on his head or whatever it is. And actually, what really annoys me about this is that I think to myself, I'm only interested in this if it actually happened. The fact that somebody can make it on an AI tool is of no interest to me, right? Because you're going, well, I'm watching something that didn't happen. Right?
I know,
It would be remarkable if a gorilla was able to, you know, count to 5, but he hasn't done it, and that video doesn't prove it.
It's becoming really, really hard to actually tell if it's AI or not. And then when I watch a video, and I see in the comments, oh, this is AI, and I thought, God, I didn't even think it was.
Like they have ones with animals now, don't they? And an Alsatian and a cat. You go, and then it's like you can tell now, sort of, because the animals are a bit unnatural. But yeah, I suppose it was a bit of fun. But it is a bit weird. Grok's a bit of a. I suppose it sucks out all the internet, and there's a lot of weirdos online. But when I did a picture of me and you, it automatically made us like do strange things with each other. You know what I mean? And I didn't say do anything like that. It just did it all. It's because it knows what we think, I suppose. It listens. But
I forget which AI tool I said, can you make Keir Starmer a Nazi? And they went, no, this is degrading to Keir Starmer. I thought, damn it.
To the Nazis.
Damn it.
Right, yeah, OK, well, Ellie Hodges is here. Give us a ring, 03444991000. And coming up next, we're going to be talking about the investigation revealing 500,000, this is in the Telegraph, 500,000 accounts shut down, debanked, people debanked. I mean, you can't live your life. It's basically cancelling you from life. And what are they going to do if they try, they should never do this, but the digital ID cards they put your money on, that's what they want to do, and that'll be, then we're just slaves to the system. And we're talking about the Met Police who lowered they got a load of people who was deemed to be not very good and not up to the job, and then they've got them all back, a lot of them who were DEI hires, basically. I think that's the story. They're saying, oh no, these were overlooked. So we're going to be talking about that, about Broken Britain. But Ellie Hodges is here. It's me and Andre on Talk. Give us a bell.
across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Well, we've got a bit of an update because there's just been an announcement that the government is considering banning X in the UK.
Because of the Grok issue?
No, because it's free speech and it's got right-wing content on there, and this is the excuse.
And also, it's the old children thing. They use that as their Trojan horse. They obviously don't care about children. When you look at the hundreds of thousands of girls that have been raped over the last few decades, it's just a sort of ruse so they can control our freedom of speech.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm really worried about this country. I mean, we'll go on to other stories in a minute, but you know, the abolition of jury trial, the abolition of the local elections, you know, lockdowns and
locking people up who have the wrong views. But the other side, you're all right.
Sending the police.
It will backfire. It will.
Well,
I don't think the British public will have it.
Well, they're not very happy, are they? But the problem is we're being picked off one by one. You know, the reality
divide
is,
and rule.
Well, look, I agree with what Steve Bannon said. He said that if you want to be a right-winger now in Britain or America, you should expect to either be jailed or killed. And you simply have to accept that that's what's going to happen. You're going to be under permanent police investigation until they find a reason to throw you in prison.
Which is what they'll be doing with Farage, you know, before the general election.
Oh yeah, they've thrown everything at Farage, haven't they? Yeah. What the great thing is, he just doesn't care.
The great thing with Farage as well is that there's nothing recent that they can pick on. So they go to the school thing.
Yeah, which actually came out about 5 years before.
It's not even new news.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, teenage boy, bit of a knob, shocker.
Yeah.
And it actually backfires, doesn't it? And bolsters him. You know what I mean? It bolsters him. So it just backfires.
I mean, the reality is, I think, I've known Nigel Farage since 1999, which is quite a long time. But look, let's be clear. When he was at school, he will have just been a belligerent, cantankerous refusenick.
Especially East Dulwich, they're all the posh boys.
Oh, yeah. If you said black, he'd say white, right? He's just one of those geezers, isn't he?
Yeah.
And therefore,
a bit like a posh Bernard Manning.
Posh Bernard Manning. Unbelievable. Okay, right.
Do you know who Bernard Manning is? Did you not study him in history? I mean, he's a British icon. Yeah. He's our generation's Ricky Gervais.
Oh, really? Oh, well, I love Ricky Gervais.
Basically, he stole Bernard Manning's act, didn't he, Gervais?
I'll stick with Ricky Gervais.
You should try Manning.
It's fair to say that the comic timing of Bernard Manning was unbelievable, but it's fair to say that he was an equal opportunity see you next Tuesday, which was he basically had to go at everyone, but quite savagely. So, okay, look, debanking has hit a record high. The Telegraph has found out that 500,000 accounts have been shut down since 2025. I find this extraordinary because if you look at Coots and Nigel Farage, despite what happened to the NatWest group, despite all the damage, despite there being resignations here, there and everywhere, they still did not give him his bank account back. And what they had done, as it transpired, they had literally started going through people's social media and going, do we agree with what these people have said online? If we don't, we're going to get rid of them.
Political, purely political.
Just out of interest, what do you two think about the fact that in France and Belgium, it's a legal right to have a bank account?
Well, it should be, shouldn't it? Because you can't live without a bank account.
Well, I mean,
especially now in the whole cashless society thing.
I mean, ring us if you've been debanked. If there's 500,000, ring us and tell us what it's like to be. I know Tommy Robinson, he's debanked, isn't he? He has to have cash. You just have to have cash everywhere.
Well, they did it to the Free Speech Union, didn't they? They just said, right, you can't have a bank account, and then they had a bit of a go.
We can't have free speech in this country.
I mean, look, I wouldn't. So before all this happened, I wouldn't have said that you have a legal right to a bank account because that forces a private company. But my assumption was everyone would be able to get one. You just might not be able to get it in whichever bank you wanted. But, you know, this idea that thousands upon thousands of people are simply thrown out by their banks, I find extraordinary.
It is. It's absolutely extraordinary. And I don't think people are buying the fact there's this many criminals, as they would call it.
Yeah.
And it's increasing every year by such a significant amount. It's
well,
ridiculous.
It's not criminal. They call it a person of political influence or something, don't they? I mean,
I'll tell you what worries me. There's a bit of a wider issue. If you look at the Dylan Mulvaney situation with, what was it, Anheuser-Busch, Bud Light, right? The reality is, these people who get into companies, remember the companies are largely owned by pension funds, right? So it's your money.
Yeah.
And when you get to the age of 65 or whatever, you're hoping the money you invested has yielded a return. What they are doing is they're going into these companies and they're deliberately making business decisions that undermine the value of the company, and they don't give a toss. They go, right, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll prioritise diversity over profits.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And what then happens
Look at
is...
Jaguar. Look at what happened in
exactly
Jaguar.
right. There's going to be people like you who put money into their pensions all their life, and then when they get to the age of 65, they are going to discover that some idiot prioritised getting people with Down syndrome on the board rather than actually, you know, attempting to sell motor cars, as an example.
It also it says about the anti-money laundering as part of it as well.
Yeah.
I don't think we've seen a decrease in money laundering here.
No.
If you go down Oxford Street, there's about 7 American candy shops, 10 Turkish barbers in every community.
Well, they must love it, the HMRC.
I mean,
they obviously know about it, but they're getting a tax from it, so they're turning a blind eye. And just because it was in the newspapers and the media, they're now pretending to do so. But you've still got 8 barbers in a small village.
And it's so obvious as well that it's happening.
Yeah.
And the government just turn
Well,
a
they
blind
make
eye
money.
to
They
it.
make money from the laundering because they pay the tax.
But it's exactly the same as happens time and time again. Have you ever met anyone who attempts to legally bring somebody to the UK, like a husband or a wife? It costs like 20 grand. It's an absolute nightmare. We've got a presenter on this channel who's got a partner, and it's costing an absolute fortune. Right, so basically what they do is they go, let's not bother about the people border jumping. We don't care about the people in dinghies. What we're going to do is we're going to make it harder for the legitimate people. And so what they do is add 50 new pieces of paperwork to it. So what they do is they go, look, we are not bothered about Albanian gangs selling cocaine and sticking the money through the till of an American candy shop. But what we are bothered about is some bloke who's attempted to take 500 quid out to go on his holiday. Right? You just think, all we're doing is just once again just attacking the decent people.
But they make billions from the exchequer with these candy shops.
Totally.
They're part of the problem.
It's just another case of ordinary, hard-working British people who have, you know, paid tax all their life that are being targeted again.
Yeah.
And this is why you see that people are getting so fed up with the state of this country overall, and also them feeling like it's a bit of a personal attack on them as well.
Well, it is, isn't it? I mean, I saw the housing list. You've got a 10-year wait. There was this woman with a disabled child. They won't give her a house. But immediately they're putting asylum seekers, or, you know, these people from boats in housing, saying, this is great, we're saving billions on the hotel bills. But, you know, you're taking people off the housing list and just being people who haven't earned anything yet.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, the way I feel, and I don't know how you feel, but I feel that in Britain now, there has been a deliberate effort to make it difficult for people, right? So, you know, even down to, let's get a taxi across London. And it's like, oh, that's one way, and you end up like, well, it's about 80 quid, and, you know, it's 100 yards or whatever.
Traffic calming.
And they just, and everything just seems to be deliberately making it harder.
I literally had that on the way here, and I got a taxi here, and it was, they can't, you know, drop me off right opposite. They have to go across to the station, then I have to go through the station because it's a one-way system. It's just like ridiculous.
But to make it worse,
just feels difficult.
Sadiq Khan, I remember a couple of years ago, I used to drive to work every day, and the bus lanes were free after 7, and people didn't realise it, so it was like my own private lane. I used to get here in like 20 minutes. And now he's made it at any time. So even 3 in the morning when there's nothing around, you know, you could... It's just purely, like you say, to have a go at the... Any reason to have a go at the drivers and these ULEZ cameras that are also will become, you know, recognition, paper
ULEZ is much more important than crime in London. We have to remember that. In Sadiq Khan's eyes, that is the priority. The priority is him being seen on the global stage as the advocate for climate change. I'm doing everything I can to make things basically difficult for Londoners.
I think Sadiq Khan, the big problem that you've got with him is the worse he is as mayor, and he is genuinely terrible, the more likely he is to be re-elected. The reason is because he's got so many press officers dedicated to local media in London that whenever there's a problem, he just blames somebody else. And so the more problems he creates, the more he's able to blame other people. I remember when he literally went up and said the reason knife crime had increased when he became mayor was Boris Johnson, right? Boris Johnson was the previous mayor. It had gone up since Boris left office. But Sadiq
he cut it back, actually, quite a lot, Boris Johnson.
Sadiq managed to come up with a justification as to why it was Boris Johnson's fault.
I think it will be interesting now, seeing as the recent news that Layla Cunningham is going to be put forward as the Reform mayoral candidate.
Is she of Muslim extraction originally? Is she?
Yeah, she is a Muslim, and that's exactly what I was going to say. It'd be very interesting because every time Susan Hall or whoever it is presses Sadiq Khan on issues, he goes, well, it's just because I'm a Muslim and you're being Islamophobic. True, yeah. So now Layla's going to be there. She's not going to take any of that rubbish. No. So it'll be very interesting to see how that plays out.
Right. So I had a conversation with my dad yesterday. My dad said he thought Layla Cunningham would wipe the floor with Sadiq. Right. I mean, she's clearly better person in many respects. I'm just going to say something controversial, and apologies if this offends you, but I don't live in London. It seems to me that there are literally not enough British people in London for a Reform candidate to win. Right? Yeah. If you look at it, what is it?
And people on social housing, they're going to vote for Sadiq Khan.
Yeah, 38% British, right, in London. Now, I might be wrong, but it seems to me that there are so many recent migrants who, and Sadiq has been very, very good at saying, it is your Islamic duty to vote for me, which by the way, it is quite a big thing for him to have done because he screwed over Uber, which has a large number of Pakistanis. He screwed over food deliveries, which is predominantly people. But anyway, he has got people to literally vote for him on the grounds that he is a Pakistani. So I don't know whether there's enough people in London who are British and would vote for a Reform candidate.
Well, I mean, Boris Johnson was able to get in.
But it's a long time ago.
I know that was quite a long time ago, but I still think that it wouldn't be right to paint everyone that's not British or originally from London, for example, to automatically vote for Sadiq Khan. I think there is a lot of people in London that might not originally be from here that don't like him.
If they've got a car, especially.
Yeah, and I think that Layla is really, really fantastic. And I think that when she did her speech the other day, it was very good. It was very hardline, taking no nonsense.
Well, she has arguments, and like Sadiq Khan who tries to shut it down by calling him a racist because he knows he hasn't. And she's got every argument because she knows she's right.
I don't think it'll be easy for her, but I do think
he's had 3 terms, hasn't he?
I'll tell you what I said to Susan Hall, and she completely ignored me.
That's very hurtful.
But I said to her, look, the thing is about Sadiq Khan, more than anything else, his mum really loved him when he was a kid. The reality is, he becomes very, very weak and actually quite nasty the minute you ever challenge him. He's a spoilt brat. He's somebody who throughout his entire life has been told he's marvellous and that he's always right and whatever.
Definitely.
Now, if I said to her, go into the debate and just tear his face off, right? Forget the whole, oh, well, we're all good, but we have different views. Go in and say, you are responsible for the deaths of X number of black kids because you've done nothing about knife crime. The blood is on your hands, or whatever. Just rip into him. And what he will then do is he will get very upset and become very sexist and just die.
I mean, the thing she did push him quite hard on the grooming gangs, the rape gangs.
Anyway, what are you talking about? What's a grooming gang? I never heard of it.
Sorry, what's that in relation to? And he just acted, sorry, what? And she goes, the fact that there is it's a very, very high percentage chance that there is grooming gangs in London. Sorry, can you repeat that? Sorry, I'm not too sure.
Well, do you know what I would say? If Sadiq Khan was sat here, I would say, to be specific, the allegation is that you know that Pakistani men are raping teenage girls and you're deliberately covering it up because you're a racist. That's what I'd say to him. I'd say, look, the reality is, so there are grooming gangs everywhere in the country apart from London. Well, the reason is very simply this. Sadiq, it seems to me, and I might be wrong, that Sadiq Khan knows there are grooming gangs in London and doesn't care. And one can only conclude the reason he doesn't care is because he's a racist. I don't know.
Yeah, but do you remember when, as soon as that sort of became a news story, the police said we're starting to investigate like 1,500 cases all of a sudden, so it'll be interesting to see what happens there.
Yeah.
The Met's still the only police force in the UK that has no specialist funding for grooming gangs.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, I think back to the Layla thing, I think she could do very well because if you look at the past year, there hasn't really been a viable alternative to Sadiq Khan.
No, there hasn't.
And she is. And if Reform go really, really hard.
And she was a councillor, wasn't she? Westminster.
Yeah, exactly. She's got experience. She's done extremely well.
And it is also worth remembering, and this is why Boris Johnson won. It's also worth remembering that, you know, OK, there's Camden. OK, there's you know, central London. But there's also Bromley, Romford, you know, these sorts of places on the outskirts, which actually very often vote and very often outvote the central London, clique that vote Labour.
Anyway, we've got to take a little breaky, but we've got some calls going. Cindy in Michigan, Darren in Bermuda, very international, and Robert in Hertfordshire. Back in a couple of minutes.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Right, I'm sorry, we're just going to continue this conversation. Right. I will tell you one thing. Chuck Thomas, the producer of this show, is not adverse to lying. Right, all of the guests that were a bit nutty, he brought in, and he is.
No, these were
Whoa,
all your
Chuck
friends.
brought me on.
No,
We're next on the list.
He literally goes, I remember one person in particular, who gate crashes everything. And every time he gate crashes, somebody goes, Andre invited him.
Yeah, they invited him. He's your friend.
He's your mate, isn't he? Like that?
The
Well,
boss,
he's all our mate,
the boss
yeah.
was very upset that you invited this bloke. I don't know who he is. He's just some
Magician,
geezer.
you love him.
He's just some Mind you, his pièce de résistance was he wasn't invited to James Whale's funeral, and he actually got in the car with the
Not
widow.
tell the story.
He got in the car with the widow. that is dreadful. That is absolutely dreadful.
There and back.
Anyway,
All your friends, Andre.
anyway,
It was nice to have the company.
Yeah, no, I'll get in the official car. He wasn't even invited. Whale hated him. Okay, so this is one thing that I don't care about, and I don't know whether it's good or bad, but the government's decided that they're going to reduce the amount that you can drink and drive to 1 pint rather than 2. Now, I've got to be honest with you.
Well, no, they'd lowered it from 2 a few years ago to like 1.5, and now it's
is
1. Yeah. So
Is it a major blow to pubs like it says on this list?
I think so.
because
Yeah.
the designated driver used to be able to have, a pint or a little bit more, and now people won't even risk having a pint, will they? So
I think people
it's
will
going to
start to say,
affect pubs.
What's the point in going there if I can only have one?
Yeah.
I think a lot of people say that, but it's just another.
The country pubs, definitely. it would
It's
affect.
it's just another major blow for pubs. You had the national insurance contributions. You had the smoking ban
Yep.
that they were thinking of bringing in. I mean, all that took was, as
Am
I say,
I,
in the
Well,
break.
they've U-turned on the council tax for pubs. They're going to go back on
Yeah,
it because
yeah.
they were going up by hundreds of % within the next 3 years, and they were all going to shut down. But your generation don't really drink, I suppose, because it's like £7-8 a pint. You can't. You all get drunk at home while you're on your Tamagotchis, and then you go out to the pub and don't have anything. Have a little secret bottle in your pocket.
I mean, I can't speak for my whole generation, but.
No, but on a serious note, we get the impression, and we might be wrong,
Yeah.
that basically nobody goes out basically on the pull. They just go on apps and then just meet up.
That is actually true. I hate that. I hate that kind of thing, though. It's not natural at all. And
No.
someone that you might match with on a dating app might not be someone that, even if you're really similar, sometimes that can actually make things worse. Sometimes it's better when you meet someone who isn't interested in the same things that you are, isn't someone that you would actually match with, someone that you just
Opposites
coincidence-
attract.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
just to be clear, anybody who had the similar interests to me, I wouldn't want to hang around with because I am a bore, genuinely. But okay, look, Asher and I have said this before today, so you know how people go, we're not conspiracy theorists. We are on this. Asher and I have discussed many, many times that we feel, rightly or wrongly, that Labour is determined to dismantle the infrastructure of the working class. That is to say that the I hate that phrase, white working class, but the white working class hang round in pubs, and pubs appear to be the enemy, right? And and it seems to me that it's kind of like we hate these people, i.e. people that we consider Brexiteers, people that we consider to be patriotic, people that whatever it is, we hate these people and we want to ensure that they are ineffective. Therefore, wherever it is that they go, we want rid of it, whether that's shutting down churches, whether that's discriminating against them in education, whether that's shutting the pubs, whether that's trying to stop them running for political office, whether it's threatening their free speech. It seems to be that you cannot do to Britain what Starmer wants to do as long as there is this backbone. Let's break the backbone.
Well, it reminds me of Chartism in the 1820s when they kept, the Peterloo massacre, obviously the biggest example, but they had meetings and speeches, and this is what they're trying to do, shut down discussion.
I think it's a totally fair assumption to make. You saw the banter ban as well in pubs. Where
That's not coming in. They were U-turning on everything, though, aren't they? Because it's unviable, it's ridiculous.
But when you look at all of the different policies which they've thought about introducing, the smoking ban, for example. We spoke about that in the ad break. All that took was Nigel Farage to stand outside the Westminster Arms with the cigarette
with his
and
Rothmans.
a pint of beer, and they reversed in it. So I think that it's interesting to see that they're consistently doing this, even though there is so much backlash every time they do it. And I think for many communities, the local pub is the centre of their community.
Yes.
It's where they meet up, it's where they make decisions, it's where they come up with ideas. And again, it's the free speech thing.
Yes.
You're kind of suppressing the free speech of people and the freedom for people to go and meet other people and just have a laugh. And not everything is so serious all the time.
Yes.
But I also think this is just a bit of a random one. But it's very interesting. I find that right-wing people are usually much more likely to go to the pub than left-wing people.
They're more enjoyable. It's like smokers are normally nicer people than non-smokers. It's just one of those things.
I had a friend of mine who was a lefty, and he said, "Do you know something?" He said, "When I go to like trade union meetings, people are all sat around going, misogyny is a risk to women." And he said, you go to like a young conservative thing, and it's actually quite good fun.
Yeah.
Right? He said all of my people are just humourless, whereas like the right wingers just don't give a toss, do they?
And sometimes the best decisions are made in the pubs as well.
Yeah, I mean, look, HR at this
You don't remember them, though, the next day. That's the thing.
HR at this company have given up trying to stop me saying things. Do you know my favourite ever story about the pub? Do you remember there was a guy called something Diamond? It might have been anyway. He was a TV presenter. It doesn't matter. Dominic Diamond.
Oh, yeah, I did the show with him a couple of times.
No, it was the guy who was married to Nigel Lawson. Anyway, it doesn't really
I
matter.
know the one.
But
Yeah.
he got cancer of the throat, right?
John.
And maybe John Diamond. Anyway, he got cancer of the throat and he was unable to speak. But because he was a journalist, he was able to write things quite quickly. And he said what was amazing was going to the pub, getting completely smashed, and then reading the notes back. So what you've got to remember is he doesn't have what anyone said. He just has his response written down. And he said the next day I'd read it back and go, what the hell was that conversation? Like, how did what? And he said, I used to sit there trying to work out what it was that had been said to me for me to respond in that way, and I could never, ever work it out at all. That's superb.
Yeah, it was terrible what happened to him. Yeah, he died very young, didn't he?
He started smoking, didn't he?
Did he?
Yeah, he got,
because he was ill? He thought
well,
I might as well.
he got throat cancer, and he said, well, at this point, I don't really... I mean, I wouldn't recommend you do it, but he said, given that
It's
I'm
not
now
going to
dying-
make it worse, is it?
Well, it might do. Anyway, look, 0344 499 1000 is the number to call. Remember, if you put that in to your phone, then you can go on to WhatsApp and leave us a voice message, which we like playing.
Yeah.
And that means that, you don't have to, I know it sounds stupid, but you don't have to interact with us. You don't have to argue with us. You can just say, I think this, I think that, I think whatever. And we normally play them out simply because... not many people send them in, and we quite like them.
Keep it down to a minute, no repetitions, deviations or hesitations. Have we got a little breaky? It's Talk, it's Andre and Ash with Ellie Hodges back in a couple of minutes. Give us a bell.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Well, that argument just continues, right? Just to be clear, none of the contributors are my mates, right?
They were your friends, Andre.
They were not my friends.
They're all banned now because
Well, how
of
did
you.
they find out about us then?
Do you know what? There was this. I'm not going to say who it was. There was this one bloke who I hated, absolutely hated, and everyone kept
Josh
going.
Swan?
And everyone kept going. Oh, Andre insists on having him on. I couldn't stand the bloke. Absolutely couldn't stand him.
Well, why did you insist on
Who are you
having
talking
it
about?
on
Russell
then?
Quirk?
I mean, right. Can I just ask you? Would you like this bloke? So I was supposed to be taking over from James Whale when he was ill or when he died. You know, on the day that Whale died, this bloke phoned up and said, "Can I take over? Get rid of Andre." And they're all going, "Oh, Andre really likes him." No, I don't. Christo. That was.
Hello, how are you?
I love Christo.
Indeed. No, I will tell you, my favourite thing that Christo ever did was those what was it? Theme tunes from 70s TV shows. He did a 3-hour...
That sounds like a good show.
He did a 3-hour special on, like, the theme tune to Lassie, or whatever it was.
That was a nice tune, actually.
Yeah, anyway. Okay,
Not as good as Black Beauty.
Black Beauty. Okay, so... Ellie, you've got a story you wanted to tell us.
Yes, so I've got two. I'll start with the most recent one. So I have a lot of students that message me from both universities and sixth forms or college, and they say to me, "Ellie, can you post this? Because I don't think that my school or university should be doing this. But I want it to be put out that this is what they're doing. But I can't do it because I don't want to get in trouble." Okay. So this first one is a sixth form in Sussex. And they were advertising a graduate scheme, and it was only for students who identify as black. And one of the students thought, "Okay, this doesn't really make any sense. I'm going to go and talk to the teacher about it, because this is something actually I'm interested in and I want to do." And he was met with the response, "You've had hundreds of years of white privilege above black students, and you do not qualify for this."
Right.
They haven't had hundreds of years. How old are they? Yeah, it's ridiculous.
And look, I've been told off for saying this before, but always remember, Prince Harry and Meghan continually complain that their children are being discriminated against for being black, and they're both ginger, right? So if Archie and Lilibet qualify as black, I would suggest to you that anybody could just say, "I'm black."
I think it's just the...
I think if you're ginger and you've got pale skin...
Well, they say identify, so that means you don't have to be black. You identify as black. I mean, that's a different thing.
But I think we'd all agree that racial discrimination is wrong, but that means no matter what side it comes from.
Well, exactly, it's racist. You can't be racist because they're generations back. Some other people are racist.
So I believe in meritocracy. So
of course.
I believe in... You know, if someone goes for a job, or even if just someone speaks to me, I would just judge them based on their character and based on who they are as a person. Their qualities, not on what colour skin they have.
That's racist.
Their sexuality.
That's downright racist, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is.
They're basically saying no white people.
Yeah, and if you wouldn't accept it, if you wouldn't accept it one way, you shouldn't accept it the other way.
I'll tell you the other thing that worries me very, very gravely. This idea that I think is now increasing in its popularity, this idea of original sin. That is to say that you and I and Asher, having been born with white skin, were born inherently evil, inherently responsible for the ills of the world, and we are people who, because of the colour of our skin, must be rigorously prevented from holding any real power, because that is a danger to the security of the world. And you get to the stage where you're going, literally, a white child in this country cannot do anything, because the minute they are born, there is a view from the political left, not all of them, there's a view from the political left which this person is evil and must be stopped.
And I think sometimes the whole concept of white privilege is actually teaching, especially kids, the people that are at school, that white kids are the oppressors and black kids are the victims.
Yes.
And that's such a bad precedent, because...
They're the lowest performing white working class boys. I don't know about girls, but I know boys are. And if you look at like 200 years ago, when they talk about reparations or the empire, 95% of British people were just working in factories, like as children, 10-year-olds in machinery. They weren't making any money from this.
But the thing is, I think a lot of the time schools may have good intentions behind what they're doing, and they think that it's the right thing to do, but realistically it's having the complete opposite effect.
They must know, though, inside their hearts, even though they think they're doing the right thing.
I'll tell you what I think is disgustingly racist, right? Britain was built by immigrants. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. Right? The Magna Carta was not signed by someone from Lesotho. Right,
the navvies mainly built, and it was Britain then. Actually, Ireland was Britain then, so the navvies mainly were the ones that built this country.
When they built Westminster Abbey, there wasn't any Somalians working there, right? And what has happened is this: this is what I think the narrative is. So I don't think these people give a toss about slavery. Certainly because they've got a phone made by a 9-year-old, right?
Well, we spent a third of our budget trying to abolish slavery.
Yeah.
We went around every single corner of the world making sure that it wasn't happening.
We should be getting reparations from the rest of the world because we were the ones that went against it and lost money.
It's very, very rarely spoke about the fact that this country was the ones who went, actually, this shouldn't be happening. We don't agree with this anymore, and we're going to make sure that
and
this
every
isn't
other
happening.
country was doing it, including all African countries.
I mean, I find it extraordinary because I think the narrative is this. This is what I detect from the political left. Basically, capitalism and British people have contributed nothing to the economic success of Britain. The only reason that Britain is successful is because of slavery. That's it. There is, and I think the reason that they say that is because when the Soviet Union fell, you just could not claim that communism was better than capitalism. You just couldn't, right? You know, the place was clearly a dump, right? But I think what they now say is, actually, capitalism has contributed nothing to Britain. It is just slavery. And if you can say that, then you can argue potentially for communism, because you can say, well, the Soviet Union was a dump, but Britain would have been a dump as well if it hadn't had slavery. I think that's what they're getting at.
I think there's just so many conflicting beliefs going on, and especially, you know, in this instance with education, in many instances, as I said, they have the good intentions, but then it's the complete opposite effect. They don't know what's the right thing to do, what's the wrong thing to do. They can then go too overboard with things, and it's really difficult to get the balance. But, you know, for me anyway, I just think education should stay out of politics.
The other thing is this, right? I keep saying, when people said in order to be British you have to be born in Britain, look, I think that somebody from the Caribbean will find it easier to settle in Britain than somebody from France, which is one of our nearest neighbours apart from the Republic of Ireland, right? So if you go, oh, you know, what we've got to do is worry about, you know, Jamaicans integrating in Britain, you go, well, is that actually a problem? Right, so there's just an assumption that because people from the Caribbean are black, they'll have some problem integrating in Britain. In reality, they come from countries with the same language, basically the same legal system, often the same head of state. I mean, for many of these places, the Supreme Court of their country is the Privy Council in London, right? They do GCSEs, right? Yeah. And they're Church of England, well, not Church of England, but and you go, well, hang on a second, what is it about these people that they have problems integrating into Britain? I've never met a Caribbean that has any problem.
I think a lot of it is because they create a situation in their head that they can, it can look like that they're fixing it when, you know, I think a lot of the time there's some things that the education system and schools and universities push for, and by doing it, they create a problem that isn't even there in the first place.
But they've been captured like every other. You wouldn't get a job there. You wouldn't want to get a job there if you're not left wing.
So this is another story that I also broke, and it's from Loughborough University. And they first reached out to me because after the Supreme Court ruling, they were still teaching that
trans
gender.
Debate,
So they were still teaching that gender was a performance, a feeling, and changeable.
Which is not correct.
I mean,
the court said it wasn't.
Let's be
they're
clear.
Defying a court order in a way they're in contempt of court.
Let's be clear. That Supreme Court ruling has been widely ignored. Widely ignored.
And it's not been enforced.
We are still awaiting, the Equality and Human Rights Commission to actually concede that they are legally obliged
and write what the rules are.
Yeah, exactly.
They're ignoring it.
So one of the students that leaked this to me, obviously they don't want to be named because they don't want the repercussions from the university, which I totally understand.
Yes.
But they said to me that not only would teaching this as an optional module be bad enough, but for many students this is mandatory. It's presented as absolute fact, like 2 + 2 = 4. This makes students like myself fear going against the ideology in coursework or exams, in case our old-fashioned or non-progressive beliefs lead to a poor grade.
Yeah,
can I tell you something? When they go, oh, you've misgendered someone, it's somebody with a beard and a dress, right? I don't know what they're getting at, right?
Gender and sex mean the same thing. They try to use this wordplay. I know. Oh no, gender isn't. No, it is. It's like it's exactly the same thing, just a different word.
You shouldn't feel like you're walking on eggshells all the time.
No. Well, this is why we're self-cancelling ourselves in society.
And that's what these students feel like. So this particular module, it was mandatory for some, not mandatory for others.
Yes.
So for example, this student that did international politics, it was something that he had to do alongside alongside this.
Yes.
And they leaked to me the syllabus and what's going on, and they had like a weekly breakdown. I won't read it all out, but one of the weeks is, what is gender anyway?
Well, it's sex,
you know,
isn't it? It's a sex.
queer theory.
I've got to be honest with you. If you forced me to listen for a day, what is gender and queer theory? Do you know what I would do? Put my headphones in and just not listen. Because I've got to be honest with you, when somebody goes, I'm gender queer, I just think to myself, I don't know what that is and I don't care.
I don't know what even queer means now, because it's not what it used to.
I just have no interest in knowing what that is.
So, I think
like the woman who was, I saw this woman on YouTube saying, I'm tri-gender, and I just thought,
he'll try anything.
Do you know what I actually did? I just clicked off. I thought, I just don't care what you, whatever it is that you're going to say.
What's really interesting is that even like a couple decades ago, maybe not even that, saying queer was actually an insult,
yes.
and now that's become
exactly. I mean,
but I think queer is different to gay.
Not really. No, yeah, it's offensive. I said to Peter Tatchell, he goes, "Oh, we're reclaiming the word." I go, "Yeah, but men got queer bashed in the eye. Are you sure about that?" And he actually then conceded.
I'm non-conforming gender queer. Right, don't tell me what that is because I don't care. Whatever it is, whatever it is, basically you're just an exhibitionist, aren't you?
And one of the exam questions. So bear in mind they actually have to take an exam in this. One of the questions was, is it important to denaturalise binary sex?
What does that mean?
Do you know what I'd scroll on my page?
You know,
F off and die, you boring.
And the student has already said that they feel like they can't write their actual opinion because they don't want to get a bad grade.
Yeah.
So if this was about debate, if the what is gender anyway question was in a class,
we
and
got
there
to
was
plug
a
your
debate,
sites. We got to go, Ellie. Where can we find out about what you're doing on Twitter or X or Instagram?
Ellie Hodges 62 on X and Instagram. Just Ellie Hodges.
She was born in '62. She looks good on it, yeah. 03. Thanks for coming in, Ellie, and with your stories.
No
great stuff. 03444991000. Sandra and Ash on Talk.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
This is the press preview with Andre Walker, Asher Gould and Pete Barnes. I have to say to you, I complained at the beginning that it was Orthodox Christmas Day yesterday and I'm a little bit hungover. I'm getting really into it now.
Yeah.
Really, really
Dr.
into
Red
this.
Light.
We can't tell the difference.
That's right, yeah. It's like, do you reckon he's been drinking? Well, probably. No, I haven't.
Yeah, it's
I haven't.
Orthodox Christmas.
Yeah, but, I was a little bit...
Merry Christmas,
a little
everyone.
bit.
Very
No,
Orthodox.
do you know what? I just felt a bit ill today. I wasn't...
Oh,
wasn't
run
that
down is the phrase.
Run
is it?
down.
Hungover is the phrase.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, hungover is the phrase, isn't it? So if anybody tells you Smirnoff is not really alcoholic, let's get the Russian stuff out. That is when the party is very much going to go downhill.
Very much.
Anyway, so we've got The Guardian here first. We're not normally a big fan of The Guardian, but they're running another attack piece on Farage, Pete.
Yes, they are.
Go back home now. 34 ex-pupils accuse Farage of racist behaviour. 34 school contemporaries of Nigel Farage have now come forward to claim they saw him behave in a racist or anti-Semitic manner, raising fresh questions over the reform leader's evolving denials. But I mean, we even if he did it, it was when he was a teenage kid, and we all do stupid things when we're teenagers.
Yeah, but the thing is about this, it's the drip, drip, drip. That's what we're going to get from...
Do you think people care?
I do, because why haven't they yet to break over 35%? But that's the point. Why
Is it related to this?
I think it is, because what people see is Nigel Farage arguing with the BBC again like it's 2016.
So is your theory then that there's effectively duty voters?
Yes.
People who say, in addition to my political beliefs, I want somebody who is an appropriate person to be Prime Minister.
Yeah.
And those people, the Labour Party, The Guardian, the BBC, are determined to deny Farage.
Oh, without a doubt. I actually think the duty is anyone but Nigel.
Yes.
Because I look at two statistics. 46% of likely Green voters would vote for a Labour candidate to keep out the reform, and 51% of Lib Dem voters would vote for a Labour candidate or a Green candidate to keep out reform. That is a motivated base to not have Nigel.
Yeah, and I've got to be honest with you, years and years and years ago, tactical voting was quite hard.
Yeah.
In an age of information, it's really, really easy.
Yes.
People now coalesce around one candidate.
It's also incredibly organised. It's all done. It's orchestrated. People know what they're doing, and this is my big fear: is that reform will take the foot off the gas, or there will be the biggest problem that political parties face is a foregone conclusion. That people think he's just going to win, so reform voters won't turn out to vote.
So I often ask you about Wigan, because I think Wigan, Lee, Makerfield, places like that are interesting when it comes to reform. If you pronounced oral.
I've never heard of it.
I've never heard that joke before.
That's what I said.
But is what's going to happen the following? Labour in Wigan will literally bang on every single door going, we've got to stop reform, vote for us. All turn out and all coalesce around the Labour candidates. A, are they going to do that? Presumably yes. And B, will it actually work?
Don't they hate Labour?
Actually, that's unfair. Will it work across the piece?
This is the interesting thing, because when I went back, I did ask a lot of people like all these kind of questions, and it was interesting that the number of people that were very impressed by the new kind of local Labour MP, because they were very active in the area.
Yeah.
The one thing that a lot of people haven't commented, not just back where I'm from, but I've noticed this when I've been here, where people called in saying, where are the people knocking on doors for reform? This is the thing. There's a difference between an online subscriber and an activist.
Yep.
They need to get the people on the streets knocking on doors, giving out leaflets and getting people to the polling stations, whether it be in May, which is a make or break for them, or when it gets to the general election.
Yeah, but if they like their Labour MP, don't they go, yeah, but I hate Starmer, so isn't that going to be the main factor? Because people mainly vote on who's going to be Prime Minister.
If you have a strong local identity, you naturally will do a lot better, because people can recognise the name.
Most people will vote on who's going to become Prime
Minister. If you've
Minister.
done something like Save the Post Office, you've done something to affect the local community, and you've actually made an impact that you can point to, which most local MPs don't really do.
I think in a sense, actually making the same point. Effectively, what Labour MPs, it seems to me, do right across Northern England is go, we know you can't stand Starmer, but you're voting for me. Yeah. Now, the extent to which that works, it worked with some people, not with others.
It's quite funny when they do it the other way round, because if you looked at the 2019 campaign for the Tories, it was Boris.
Yeah.
Boris was the Conservatives. Yes. It was quite interesting that when you got to the Rishi campaign, it was the Conservative Party. Yes. It wasn't just the Prime Minister.
Well, they didn't even want him in originally, did they?
No, but this is the point, is that the figure either becomes the hindrance or the help.
Yes.
So Jeremy Corbyn wasn't on many election leaflets.
No.
When
but Farage is now, he's carrying the Ming vase for too long, isn't he? 3 years. Yeah. Can you carry a Ming vase for 3 years?
Well, I've said that at times I think he might be the drag on the ticket as we get close to the general election, as that kind of anyone but Nigel. They might like reform policies, but they don't like Nigel.
I had a friend of mine who was running the Get Out the Vote in Runcorn.
Oh, yeah.
Runcorn. Now, he said to me something, and I hope I'm not betraying a confidence here, because I don't think it matters, but what happens with the Labour Party, the Conservatives, Lib Dem, Sinn Féin, I don't know, Plaid Cymru, whatever. They've got these canvas returns, and they've got, you know, put W for the Conservatives if it's a Conservative waverer, put S down for Labour, whatever. What they found in Runcorn, and I think this is just a function of it being a new party, they'd give out these canvas sheets and nobody had ever seen one before. Right?
Yeah.
And they'd go, what is that and what do I do with it? Now, you've got to remember something, that basic knowledge, you'll get there in the end, but you don't have it at the moment.
Yes, and they need that knowledge. This has been a big point that many people have raised. Dominic Cummings has criticised Reform about this and actually said it's one thing that might keep the Conservatives in the game is they know how to run an election campaign. And I look at the Lib Dems as a prime example. Their campaign ground game, phenomenal. It's why they're really good at local elections and things like that. They get people out, you know, they have buses and they put these things on. Reform have to have that tenfold.
But the Conservative strategy, which they've done time and time again, is this. Basically, let everybody beat us. Right, go dark, shut your mouth whilst you're confirming data. So they'll knock on your door, go, which way are you going to vote? Right, and they don't try and persuade you of anything. What they're doing is confirming the data predictions on the system. By the time of the election, they press a button and it says, we will win this seat if X number of people come out. And then what they start doing is just turning them out. Can you vote today? Will you vote? Whatever.
And one thing that comes from that is resource allocation. So you actually put the resources where they're needed. The best example of that is the Green Party in the last general election, where they were strategic. They won, and they won in big ways. You know, they were able to turn over big Labour majorities because they were sensible and they used the data. Modelling in polling is becoming absolutely phenomenal, and we keep saying the polls always lie. They tend not to. We have to remember they're a snapshot of the moment, so you can't really make big predictions out of them. But the trend is interesting for Reform because they have not dipped, but they plateaued.
But I think, who was it? Was it Robert Halfon, the former Conservative MP? Presumably he's former, they all lost. He made a point about Reform. Well, he was talking about UKIP, but it's basically the same thing. He basically said, look, every awkward person from every Conservative association in the country has joined UKIP. Right, now look, you know, at the end of the day, I think it's fine being an alternative thinker, but all of the contrarians...
They have got more professional, though, haven't they? They've brought in people.
They have, but it's not... At the minute, it needs to double down. So they've announced that they're going to spend this $5 million on the local elections. That's a minimum to what they're going to need, because even today, polling shows here in London that they're polling behind the Conservatives. You know, and that, you know, if you don't really win big here, you're going to struggle in university cities, you're going to struggle in towns and things like that. This is, the London one is not necessarily going to be an easy win for Reform, but it's a tester for the rest of the nation.
Do you know something about student voting? I believe something has to be done about what I call the Oxford problem, which is this. Students are exempt from paying council tax, right? And they only live in a town for 3 years. What is happening, specifically in Oxford, but also in Cambridge and Canterbury and places like that, people move in, students, vote for the most horrendous, high-taxing socialist loonies, and then A, don't pay the tax, and B, don't live there. And what's happening in places right up and down the country is the locals are being outvoted, and they're being foisted upon them, these absolute nutters.
The prime example is Bristol.
Yes.
Bristol is your prime example. It is a town and city that is being run by complete lunatics, and it is at the degriment to people that genuinely live there and have lived there for a long time.
It's a bit like New York, sort of.
It kind of to a degree, but it's. I think you raise a very good point here. It's about the kind of migrant voter, for want of a better phrase, is that we have to tighten down where you get to vote. I think we need to scrap postal voting completely. I find it a bizarre idea.
I have to say to you, I mean, at the moment, students can vote in either where they live or their universities, but you know, it's totally unfair to have 15,000 people voting who are exempt from the tax.
It's crazy.
Right?
But also, it's like when they tried the EU ordered us to give prisoners the vote, and that's thousands of people in one area, and of course they're going to vote like this time. It would be the Greens because they don't want to release all the prisoners.
It would be an interesting situation, wouldn't it?
It would be.
You know what? One of the strongest Conservative seats has a very large prison population, technically, and yet, you know, just as a curiosity thing, it might be quite interesting to find out what would happen. But
well, wouldn't they vote? Because Polanski wants to free all the prisoners, doesn't he?
Well, you know, would you really want to come out into this? It's probably safer inside.
Yeah, you're right, actually,
the stupid thing, the particularly stupid thing about prisoners voting is that the fact that you live in Wandsworth is of no importance,
Yeah.
right? It's not like you're going, I'm concerned about local bus services, right? You're in prison.
Yeah.
And therefore, you know, if it seems to me just on a basic level that you mustn't have any involvement in the local community.
That's the point, is you're removed from it.
Yeah, exactly.
You're removed from society.
You could be living anywhere.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any difference.
Exactly. Yeah, 100%. And I have to admit, it was one of the things I was very glad that we never actually went down this path of actually giving prisoners the vote. I thought it was bizarre.
Well, they ignored it, didn't they? They can ignore the rules when they want to.
Oh, yes, this rules-based order, complete nonsense. People break it all the time.
Now, this Minneapolis horrendous shooting of this woman, I think it was excessive. I mean, the woman got spooked. She was being silly, blocking the road. And this copper goes shouting at her, move with a balaclava. She sort of got spooked. And this other copper had stood in, ICE agent, had stood in front of the car, giving them a reason to shoot her. He shouldn't be going in front of a car. I think it's protocol normally. Police, you don't stand.
Yeah.
You could have caught her after. And they've just basically executed her. And there's been a few riots. But they're saying now, they've said, US Vice President J.D. Vance said last night that US immigration agent who killed a woman in the state of Minnesota was protected by absolute immunity from prosecution. So they can just execute people. But it seemed totally acceptable. This poor mother has just died instantly.
Yeah, there's one thing I didn't like about this, and it was the mayor. Well, one thing, but the rather distasteful bit was the mayor of Minneapolis is using this as a platform to become the Democratic nominee. Like, you can see the pattern happening because it's happened in other places after George Floyd. That's when all that kind of kicked off.
It was a white woman. If it wouldn't have been, there would have been real proper
I have to
riots.
admit that's true.
Look, I'm not being critical of the Americans. It's a different country and they've got, you know, whatever. But in Britain, right, firearms are discharged by the police if they have to do it. Right, so as an example, if I rob a bank and run off, the police don't shoot me in the bank because I'm running off.
Yeah.
Right, they would shoot me because I'm pointing a gun at them. And it seems to me the whole, you know, somebody stole the bottle of Volvic from Walmart, oh, he's running off, let's shoot him, seems to me to be utterly ludicrous.
Oh, yeah. I have to, was it over here there was a case of somebody, I actually might have been in America actually, for the stand your ground laws was, so he got shot in the back. And everyone went, how is he a threat? You shot him in the back.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I have to admit.
Oh, let's shoot him, he's getting away.
Yes, exactly.
No, well, let's not.
But I have to admit, the video of it is horrendous. I think she got shot in the head 3 times.
And he stood in front of the car. She was spooked. She didn't want to kill anyone, and he would have been all right. And he just emptied his... And also, he was shooting from the side. So, like you say, at that point, she wasn't actually a threat to life. Which is probably already dead, though.
I think the other thing that you've got to bear in mind is, and I say this as somebody who was, you know, involved with the Metropolitan Police Authority a little bit when they were talking about firearms policy. Look, there's no shoot to injure.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh,
this whole, don't worry, shoot her in the leg. What she's got major arteries.
Shoot to stop.
Yeah.
There's shoot to stop. You can aim at the leg, obviously not in a car, but you can shoot to stop someone.
Yeah, but I go back to what we talked about the other day, John Charles Mendes. That is literally, you didn't know what he was going to do or what they've got on them. You shoot to put them down and make sure they don't get back up again because that is public safety.
I mean,
they said he had a gun and they found a gun, but then I think the coroner's report said
it was all kind of
something not right.
Again, we go back to the point. I'm going to use Chris Carver as another example of we have to have the officers back because at the end of the day, they can't have a moment of doubt. Otherwise, even more terrible things
go
can
on
happen.
strike as well.
I remember one of what I thought was an utterly ludicrous situation when the Metropolitan Police got into trouble. This is years ago. Right. There was a convicted armed robber, forgive me for not knowing the name of this guy, convicted armed robber walked into his local pub with something that was rolled up in a small
a chair leg.
Yeah.
It was, I remember that.
And when he walked out of the pub, the firearms unit were there, so the pub landlord had phoned up saying, I think he's got a shotgun. He picked the thing up, held it at the police, and they shot him and they went, he was shot wrongly, it was a piece of wood. Well, how the hell are they meant to know?
I know, yeah.
I mean, how are they meant
I
to
go
know
back to
that?
after the Manchester mosque attack. Sorry, the Manchester synagogue attack, my apologies. The fact that everyone was jumping on saying, oh, well, the guy would have died because he got shot by the police. I was like, we're kind of missing the point about why this situation was happening, and the way that people politicise these issues is not right, and it's why they keep happening here and they happen in America.
I mean, the other thing is when you're talking about, these terrorist attackers, you know, at the end of the day, you don't know whether that suicide vest is real or false. Now, let me tell you something. Oh, let's shoot him in the leg and let him melt to the... he'll just press the button.
Oh, 100%.
What you are going to do is slot him in either the heart or the skull.
They aim for the middle, don't they? Anywhere in the torso to the head.
And as I said, a soft tip bullet is designed to enter your skull, bounce around in your brain, and not come out.
Yeah, definitely, because you don't want the ability to literally move your thumb. That's it. Because as we just said, even worse things can happen just because you've shot
Krytos, the reality is Krytos was based on the Israelis.
Yes. Yeah.
And the Israelis said the slight problem is if you say freeze, he'll just detonate.
Yeah.
You've got to just kill him.
Yeah, 100%.
Right.
That's Johnny.
The Sun send writ like Beckham. Brooklyn goes legal in feud with parents. Brooklyn Beckham sent parents David and Victoria a legal notice warning they can now contact him only via lawyers. The extraordinary desist letter also instructs them not to tag him on social media, but Brooklyn, married to US actress Nicola, is in secret contact with all his grandparents.
Well, can I just ask you a question? A, does anybody care?
Yeah.
B, right, this is almost like, do you remember years ago, the East Coast, West Coast rap dispute that I didn't understand and cared even less about?
Exactly,
right.
yeah.
Why is Brooklyn Beckham in a bad mood with his parents? Do you know?
I don't know, and I would rather not like to know. You know, we've got a melted economy. You know, people are being arrested and not you shouldn't be, and we've got migrants coming in and all this terrible stuff. The issues of an internal family matter, I couldn't care less about.
And the other thing is about Brooklyn Beckham. Has he ever had a job for more than 3 weeks?
Yeah, he just seemed to be terrible at everything his dad puts his hand to.
A cook, everything.
Yeah, exactly. But
Gunners held to 0-0 draw with Liverpool. Interesting. The Times. Reeves prepares bailout for pubs drinking at last chance saloon. Will it count for anything? No. Rachel Reeves is poised to announce a bailout worth about $300 million for pubs that have been left on the brink of bankruptcy by rising business rates in Labour's 12th major U-turn since coming to power. But will it be enough? I know they said they were giving them a few grand, but this was going to pale into significance with the rates. It'll just be smoke and mirrors and
100%.
But they don't want the pubs to go bankrupt because that's just going to look terrible.
Oh yeah, definitely, because again, they don't think to the end of the spreadsheet. The problem that Rachel Reeves has got is that yet again they're throwing money at a problem they've only exacerbated.
Yes.
This is the big story.
They've got no more pips to be squeezed.
It annoys me as well when they call it a U-turn. It's a watering down. It's not a U-turn. Winter fuel allowance.
Like the farmers
down.
as well.
Farmers watering down. They're not U-turns.
It's still $2.5 million.
Just to be clear, and forgive me if I've misunderstood this, my understanding is that the problem that pubs are facing is the punitive taxes that are put on them. Right, so actually, your local pub, the reason why it's £8 a pint is because they're being nailed to the desk by tax.
Yes.
It's not a level playing field.
Oh, not at all. Not at all.
The next 3 years, I heard some publicans saying it's going up 300% over 3. Some it's 75%.
Yeah.
It's a massive amount.
I was listening to one of the people from Campaign for Real Ale this afternoon, and she was basically saying everything the government is saying is just categorically not true, and they have been pleading with them for a long time to actually listen. But yet again, there was no impact assessment. They've just ploughed ahead with this, and now they've rather embarrassingly had to water it all down, and Kemi Badenoch gets to take a victory lap.
Before we go to the break, and I don't know the financials, but Jeremy Clarkson said something absolutely extraordinary. He said that his pub had made no profit. Right, now, look, at the end of the day...
And he's got a farm as well.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it had queues of 3 hours to get into the place. If he couldn't make it profitable, what the bloody hell's anybody else doing?
Exactly.
And what they're actually doing is landlords and landladies are paying themselves slavery wages. That's the only reason they're alive.
If anything.
One thing I was reading saying that, they're being allowed to open longer. The problem is they can't afford to open longer because of overheads and particularly the national insurance one.
Anyway, 0344 499 1000. Guidance on single spaces delayed by cost fears. That's what we'll talk about. That top defence chief warns of need for extra 28 billion. And what happens when you come off fat, Joe? Well, you get fat, don't you? It's talk. Andre Nash and Pete will be back in a couple of minutes.
Across the UK. On DAB+. On YouTube. On your mobile. And on your side. This is Talk.
Yep, here at Talk, we're giving away a massive £26,000. What better way to kick off 2026 than with the chance to win some serious cash? It's our biggest New Year cash giveaway, and it could be yours. For your chance to win, text TALK to 83338. Text costs £2.50 plus your standard network rate, or call 0343 423 9761. That's 0343 423 9761. Lines close at 12 p.m. 9th of January 2026. This is a network promotion. Full terms and conditions at talksport.com/win. So for your chance to win, text TALK to 83338 now, and good luck. Pete, what would you spend the 26 grand on if you had 26 grand?
Tickets out of here?
Yeah. Where to?
Probably somewhere warmer, where it doesn't shut down because of some
By the
weather.
way, I'll tell you one thing good about that promotion. One good thing about it. The lottery has like millions of tickets, millions and millions. This does not have millions of tickets. And so, you know how like there's virtually no chance of winning the lottery? There actually is a reasonable chance of winning this, which is quite good, actually.
It's just rather annoying that we can't enter.
No, exactly. We can't enter. I mean, to be honest with you, I would, but fairly obviously, if I won, it would, do you know what? I had a friend.
Why has he suddenly turned up in a new...
Do not say the name because you know the bloke. But my mum worked for a home shopping company where the first winner of the £50,000 prize was the owner's uncle.
Oh God!
And that is a disgrace.
Yeah, it's also one of those things that if it's happened like in earnest, you're like, oh, we can't sell this. No one's ever going to believe this was an accident.
Absolutely,
probably wasn't.
Absolutely, yeah. My uncle won. Well, that's a remarkable coincidence, isn't it? Right. Okay. Let's go back to the papers because this is the press preview with Andre Walker, Asher Gould, and Pete Barnes.
Just the last bit in the Times. Guidance on single-sex space is delayed by cost fears. Bridget Phillipson is delaying the release of guidance that would ban transgender women from single-sex spaces by demanding the equalities regulator calculates how much it will cost business. They're just delaying it.
Yes, that has absolutely nothing to do with Bridget Phillipson's job. That is actually the government ignoring a Supreme Court ruling, and it is this very serious issue.
I'll tell you what I find really disgusting. This Equality and Human Rights Commission, it is their job to enforce the law on equality. Yeah. And that law on equality says that women should have women-only spaces. These people are defying the law.
Yes. They're in contempt of court. Can't they be arrested on this?
Well, on the technicalities of that, I don't know. But for me, Andre, you are bang on. They are actively ignoring a Supreme Court ruling. And that should be a very serious...
They're opening themselves to being sued as well. I suppose if they haven't got the guidance, they can argue, well, we didn't have the guidance.
So this is the point. You don't need guidance. Guidance is neither here nor there.
It's already illegal.
All you need to do is not have men and women mixing together.
This is what... I mean, this is a particularly egregious example, but we've seen examples before. Right. It is not a criminal offence to upset somebody on Twitter, yet the College of Policing have simply invented a criminal, a reason for the police to go round. It's not the law. Yeah. And what's happening with these quangos is they're literally making... Do you know what? I've got a friend of mine who got pulled over for taxi touting, right? Now, the ins and outs of the case doesn't matter. He went to Transport for London and he said, listen, when you sort of took me at the roadside, you didn't read me my rights and you didn't give me a caution. And they said, yes, we did. He said, get the body cam footage. And they came back and they said, the body cam footage was stolen in a cyber attack. Now, can I just be clear? They've destroyed the evidence.
Oh, in court, wouldn't they throw it out in court? It's like someone not turning up to a case.
Even on that
conspiracy to pervert the course of justice.
The point. It is the fact that quangos,
the College of
Policing, the NHS is a prime example of this. They are actively ignoring the law of the land.
Yes.
And these are public institutions run on public money. They have absolutely no right doing any of this, and all of them should be fired.
This raises the question. So, I've always said the Blair stakeholder democracy is all about ensuring whichever way you vote, nothing changes. Kenny Badenoch or Nigel Farage, if either of them become Prime Minister... when either Reform or the Conservatives win, which will happen at some point, they are going to take on these quangos. is what's going to happen. The Quango will simply say, we know the law has changed, we don't care, we're going to continue doing what we're doing.
Well,
I believe that's what they'll do.
We're seeing it now. We're literally seeing it now. The NHS, this whole waiting for guidance thing, you don't need guidance to tell you what a man and a woman is. The ruling is evidently clear.
Yes.
The waiting for the guidance thing is just yet again kicking the can down the road in the hope that somebody somewhere will pull a rabbit out of the hat on their side and they get to ignore the ruling.
Let's just be clear, right? Let's give a really obvious example like murder, right? You are not able to say, Pete, oh, we're going to allow people to keep murdering because I've not written the guidance yet. No, murder is illegal.
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
It's clear what it says in the law,
Men
doesn't it? You don't
in
need,
women's spaces is not legal, right?
true, actually.
Now, forget how long it takes to write the guidance. Oh, we're going to continue doing what we're doing. No. Shoplifting doesn't become legal because you haven't issued the
We
guidance.
never have guidance
this
with
is-
other laws.
This is
do
also
we?
the
You
point.
just have the law.
What we've proven here is that Bridget Phillips has the guidance. She's
Yes.
actively refusing to release it based on nothing to do with the guidance itself.
We don't ever get guidance
Yeah.
with other laws. You just
yeah.
have the law and you read it, and that's the law.
It is
isn't it?
irrelevant to the
Yeah.
situation as to how much it might
The
cost
very- the
businesses.
They're fudging it.
Yeah.
The very simple position is the Equality and Human Rights Commission are saying we are going to allow men to continue going into women's changing rooms because we haven't yet written the guidance. It is not lawful.
Yes, because it's also really important. This was a clarification. It wasn't the removal of that right. It was the fact that this should have been the case from the beginning. That's a
Yes.
really important detail that is always lost in the
It was illegal before because the case was
Yeah,
to
the
say,
law
was
didn't
it?
change.
The law
Yeah,
didn't
the law
change.
didn't change.
That's
So
the
when the
really
court
important
ruled
point.
it was just that's it. That's the court.
Yeah.
And from that date, yeah, you're right. Anyway, look, the Daily Mail. They do these fat jab meals now. I didn't know about this. Which of the brand new supermarket mini meals for fat jab users and dieters are the tastiest?
I'm going for none.
Yes, yeah.
I
If
think
it's tasty,
unlikely.
it's not good
Just
for
get
you.
a Twix or a Kit Kat.
Yeah, I'm one of those old people, the old-fashioned people, that if it's good for you or it tastes or it's doesn't taste very good, or it tastes good, it's not that good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
but
not the healthy
why
option.
would God make it taste nice if it wasn't good for you?
You know, tell that to cows.
Exactly. Well, it's grass, isn't it? Yeah.
But hang on a second. Why do you need to eat diet food if you're on the fat jab?
I think
Doesn't
it's
it
It's just
suppress-
less food because
Yeah.
you haven't got an appetite.
Yeah.
Well, just eat half of it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Half
it's
of
just
a
the way
potato.
they're making money, isn't it? They'll
I remember
charge
somebody
double.
saying to me once, "Oh, I can't afford to go on a diet. Just eat half the amount of food."
Yeah,
You know what I
definitely.
mean?
A lot of
Portion
people are
control.
saving money, you know, even though the fat job costs a couple of hundred or whatever, they're saving it on food. By
Yeah.
not going out
However,
and
the
eating.
problem is rising food inflation might be no
So you
matter.
just get the fat job for economic reasons. To
I
get,
knew,
you know,
I knew. I won't say who it was, but there was somebody who worked in this building who had her stomach stapled to lose weight. And I'll tell you what, I went to dinner with her and she hoovered up the chocolates, right? Do you know the chocolates for the whole table? And I thought,
Was it one of those like
I
staple
thought-
guns?
I thought, yeah. Your stomach has limited capacity, but you've definitely,
No, it wasn't true.
you've gone for. Oh look!
No, it wasn't Alex.
Come on.
No, it wasn't.
Who has had their stomach stapled? Come on, everyone's going to be.
I
able to
remember
guess.
the
Let's
Anne
not say this
Diamond
because I've lost a lot of weight
controversy.
recently.
The Anne
Last year.
Diamond controversy when she
Yeah.
went on Celebrity Fat Club and she'd had an operation done beforehand. And Mickey Quinn, who worked at TalkSport at the time, what he did cunningly, and I think he might have won it. I'm not sure, but what he did was a couple of weeks before he was at the vending machine stuffing himself, getting really fat so that it would.
My favourite ever Anne Diamond story, and I suppose people don't generally have one. But I was watching a documentary from years ago about the claim that TVAM had failed to grasp the significance of the collapse of the Soviet Union when Anne Diamond spent 90 minutes when the Berlin Wall fell asking people about what the shopping opportunities would be for Eastern European. And they said apparently like the Independent Television Commission or whatever said that Mrs. Diamond had failed to grasp the significance of the moment.
Yeah,
she was literally live to people in Berlin talking about Gucci bags.
Wow.
Like,
Well, that was probably the first thing they did, go and get some decent shoes. Pub U-turns too little too late. As Starmer makes his 12th policy climb down with rates relief plan, Chemie and hospitality chief say it's just...
I have to admit, it's rather annoying. This didn't happen on the 12th night. That's quite annoying.
By the way, just to say to everyone, look, I have been one of the people that has slagged off Kemi Badenoch. Right, I'm watching PMQs. She's actually not bad now.
I think Yep, they found the footing, as I said it would be. It's on the economy, because they were still always one of the most trusted parties.
Yep.
People can believe that whether they like to or not, but it's evidently clear that the Conservatives are going down an economic line. What the Reform Party got very wrong was when Camilla Tominey asked Nigel on the issue of pubs. He said, every pub is a parliament. It's really important for local communities. The thing is, the Conservatives came out with detail, they came out with facts, they came out with policy that was there and presentable, and that is what businesses have been craving, because the problem of what the Labour government do is they announce something, they wait a really long time, that creates chaos and uncertainty, so it doesn't matter whether they U-turn, it has already had damage.
But it's exactly the same as Richard Tice, right? When he turns around and he says, we need to abolish all these quangos. Now, when people go, where are the powers going to be passed? Now, look, Pete, we three in this room are quite happy with the powers passing nowhere and nothing happening.
Yes.
However, I would suggest to you that when Tice says, don't worry about it, won't be a problem, that's probably because he hasn't put a lot of thought into it.
And that is
it
the
doesn't
big
bother
bit.
me if nobody uses natural England's powers.
I've yet to work out how I've had my diversity coordinated. I've yet to work it. You know, that seems such a nonsense phrase, but it is, as I said, one of the big problems is message discipline, and how they present these things to the public is going to be a big factor to getting the wavering vote. You know, there might be some people that quite like reform on some stuff, but they need that extra push. And when you don't have the facts, I have to admit they're going to come up with a bit of a problem. You can't keep relying on Danny Kruger to, you know, save the day.
Yeah.
And there's she looks a lovely lady, and it's horrendous what happened to her. The police, I think, went far too far. You can't just execute people, and he stood right in front of the car. Second by second, what really happened when Trump's ICE agent killed mother of 3, and there she is, Renee Nicole Good, mother of 3, so 3 kids devastated. That'll be on video for them to see for the rest of their lives.
It's a little irritating that it's Trump's ICE agent. They're an ICE agent.
Yeah, they're the federal ICE
it doesn't
agents.
matter whether it was Obama or Joe Biden or whoever. Like, that is lazy, in my opinion, and it's very irritating.
Right, 0344 499 1000. I'm going to be taking your calls very shortly, so give us a ring and we'll ring you back. It's Pete's in with us, all right, Pete, and it's Andre and Ash on Talk.
Oh, yeah.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
This is the press preview with Andre Walker, Asher Gould and Pete Barnes. And where are we up to now, Asher?
We're here with The Independent. Violent clashes in Minneapolis after ICE agent shoots dead a mother who they claim weaponised her car, which is not really. She panicked and the bloke was standing in front of her car, which he
Can I also point out that yet again, on the left, there are riots after one of these incidents. When Charlie Kirk was assassinated, there was no riot.
No.
I think that's just an important thing to point out.
In fact, they were celebrating the left in disgusting ways. And yet another U-turn, Reeves to set scrap. Well, we read about that one. Where's Wally? The Daily Mirror. And Nigel Farage was blasted for ignoring his day job after jetting to the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. The Reform leader was pictured on the VIP jaunt last month. As records reveal, he has flown some 56. We want to go and see the race, didn't he? He's probably got nice complimentary tickets where it looked after very nicely. But there's anger in Clacton after their MP's latest overseas jaunt, a freebie in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, you can't run around having a go at the Labour MPs, such as, Rachel Reeves taking tickets from Lord Alley and all this stuff, and then do the same thing. Hypocrisy is the biggest killer, and these stories are not helpful.
But he's not government. It's different when you're in the government.
It doesn't matter. It's the image of an MP being
Does anyone actually care? I mean,
not really. But again, it's another narrative. It's another kind of brick in the wall.
Cares, look.
No, I don't. No, I don't really care about
this
story.
Grand Prix.
Because I actually agree. I think me and Greg Tallow talked about this. Actually, MPs deserve to have a break because otherwise they will burn out. Particularly Nigel needs a break more this year than anyone else because it's going to be exhausting for him.
You've been nice about Nigel.
I'm always nice about
He's here
Nigel.
most of the time, isn't he?
Yeah.
He is. He's not one of these ones like Starmer.
One of the big
Starmer does state visits to the UK.
Oh, yeah. Though, to be fair, the less time he spends here, the better it is for us.
No, I agree with that.
And for him, because everyone shouts, "Oh, hey, Starmer, you!"
I had a friend of mine who was knocking on doors in the local council election, knocks on the door. This bloke opens and he goes, hello, my name's Bob Jones, won't say the real name. I'm your local Conservative councillor. And he goes, let me ask you a question. Is it true that local councillors don't pay council tax? And my mate goes, oh my goodness, of course that's not true. We absolutely pay the same council tax as you do. And he went, right, I'm not going to vote for you. And my mate goes, why? And he goes, listen, if you've not got yourself a sniff, you're not going to do anything for me.
Yeah, they got the sniff with the pensions, haven't they?
It's a reasonable point, though, isn't it?
Oh, brilliant.
If you've not tucked yourself up, you're not going to
turn that
that's
one
true,
around.
actually, yeah. If you can't be corrupt, smart at being corrupt, what's the point of being a politician?
But I've got to be honest with you. I do worry about something, Pete, and this is, people are going to hate me for saying this. I worry that there is a huge effort in the left-wing press and indeed amongst trade unions or whatever to avoid politicians ever mixing with business. So what would quite often happen in the past is I don't know, ICI would have a box at Lords and they'd invite politicians over and they'd just get that dialogue going. Now there is a determination that the only people who can speak to politicians are quangos, charities or trade unions.
Yes, I completely agree, and it is this. It comes from the breakdown of trust. In reality, most political work gets done outside of Parliament. It gets done in the pub down the road. It gets done at events because it's a way for people to mix together without the whole press attention and all the rest of it. It's also important that politicians listen to business leaders, no matter how big that business is. But I do always go back to the point of, if you're not going to be honest about what the donor has asked for in return, because nobody gives money away for free, I think that is a big problem.
I mean, I think, okay.
And if you're having lots of those kind of meetings, it creates the pattern.
In my experience, so I will tell you, the best thing I ever got was a tobacco company invited me to their box at Wembley, right, when England were playing. Right, and literally it was this big double box, fillet steak, champagne. I went, I'm only a researcher. Why have you invited me? And they went, we've got more money than friends.
Yeah.
I thought that's a reasonable point.
No, you know what they do? I mean, Tubby Rowlands was one of the guy who built a lot of buildings through dodgy contracts. And he used to find
Wasn't his
people.
name Tiny Rowlands?
Tiny Rowlands. But he used to find people who were just starting out their job who he thought might go far, and he used to get people like
That is exactly what Lord Alley did.
They'd be powerful when they're older and get the deals.
But let me just make one point. When you go to these things, it's not what people think. Nobody sits there and goes, hey, can you make sure your MP votes for this? What they tend to actually do is just have a general chat. And they go, and it's things like, obviously, plain packaging's coming in. There's not a lot of lobbying going on. It's more dialogue. And quite often with businesses, it's not that they're trying to get you to vote in a particular way because they know that's unrealistic. They more want to know what's going to happen in the legislative programme in the next 3 years. It's exactly what I do, and it's that kind of, it's knowledge. We need to know where the lay of the land is because we need to predict how we're going to position a campaign or how a vote's going to go, and then we can predict further things in the future. It's not really, like you say, about brown envelopes and all that kind of stuff. That's very American and very Hollywood, I'm afraid. It's not that glamorous. A lot of it is corporate handholding. So now when somebody says, well, hang on a second, second, why invite a politician to the cricket rather than going to Parliament to meet them? The reason is because you've not got anything to talk about.
Yeah.
That might sound odd, but they're not talking about a specific issue. They just want to get dialogue going.
Yeah. Also, people have to realise that businesses and politicians, business leaders, know each other.
Yes.
You come from the same kind of world. You know, it's the same way that a lot of doctors all know each other, dentists all know each other. It's the profession, and it's not a big conspiracy. We have to get out of this conspiracy mindset. Most things that go catastrophic are because people aren't.
I'll tell you the thing I most liked about Parliament working there. Right, and no doubt anybody else who's worked in Parliament will be able to say this as well. It was the fact you could summon somebody. Right, so I remember once we were very interested in hydrogen fuel cells. I forget why. Right, we phoned up BP and they sent the vice president in charge, like the vice president with like 5 of his people. And literally, we just spent sort of 2 hours talking to the most senior man in the world in this thing. And people like that would just turn up. Like what about it when there was concerns about the Badger Call? Brian May turned up.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell?
I feel like you say Badger Call 3 times and he just appears. No, but you're right, because you have to remember that the businesses get to kind of sell on that fact. So they were in Parliament having a meeting. They get to be able to kind of show their not influence but their impact. You know, it's a kind of two-way street.
My favourite story was I had a friend of mine who went to university with David Cameron. Right, and he said, basically, me and Cameron, not that we didn't get on, we weren't really mates. And he said, so he became a lobbyist, right? And he said, Cameron always did the following thing when he was Prime Minister. He used to walk past and he'd go, Bob, must go for that pint next week.
Yeah.
Right? And he said, it never happened.
Yeah.
But in front of his clients, like, that's the Prime Minister.
Yeah. I will say right now, I have pulled that trick, and it works like a dream. No, and also, because like we say, again, we move in the same circles, people know each other, and it's not necessarily favours, it's nothing that kind of like derogatory, like kind of dirty-handed. It is literally, like you say, it's also, I think, a respect for Parliament to kind of take that out of that building and to go to the cricket or to do something, because you don't want to be seen to be having that influence in Parliament.
I think when there is an important piece of legislation that comes up, the thing that is really important, so the idea that you'll get dinner at the Ivy and change the way you're going to vote, suddenly like a Labour trade unionist is going to vote for reform of trade unions, whatever. Yeah. What tends to happen in my experience is this. So the MP I worked for had a nuclear power station in his constituency. So when there was discussions about nuclear power stations, like the trade association for the nuclear industry would meet all the MPs who had nuclear power stations and go, here are the arguments in favour of nuclear power, and give it to you.
Yeah, nine times out of 10, lobbyists actually meet opposition. They don't actually meet the people that you're lobbying for. You meet the opposition because you want to know what their argument's going to be. It's all about information gathering. It's not really about influencing people how they vote. Because, like you say, I can probably tell you how every MP is going to vote on a particular issue.
By the way, I'd set up an organisation called Conservative Friends of Nuclear Energy, and it was misprinted, and we had a launch party. It was misprinted in the conference guide as Conservative Friends of Nuclear Launch.
Oh, I do love a misprint.
That's superb. Conservative Friends of Nuclear Law.
Oh, God.
Right, Daily Express, cheers. It's yet another too late U-turn from PM plans to say huge business rates are too little too late, claim the Tories. And also, on a similar note, farmer protest, we were talking about this earlier, not over by a long shot. And I think that's probably because it's only been raised to 2.5 million.
Yeah,
a lot of farms are worth a lot more.
Yeah, on Friday I spoke with a friend about Mo Metcalf from the Countryside Alliance about this, saying that I think the government thought they got off the hook on this one because it happened over the Christmas break and they passed it off to DEFRA and all the rest of it. But that's not going away, and the farmers are still apoplectic, rightly so, because the chaos has already happened, and it's they can't just roll back on it.
I don't want to just simply repeat what Asher said, but I think it is worth saying what Asher said a couple of weeks ago. And forgive me for putting words into your mouth, but Asher turned around and said, I cannot see why this proposal is anything other than an attempt to eradicate family farms and have them replaced with question mark. He says BlackRock, running.
Well, also, now it already exists. Robots, AI can just run a whole farm and they can monitor the land. They can test every bit if it's watered in minerals, and they can do it without 24 hours a day. They can, and this is what these big tech firms are looking. They're taking all the essentials like rental properties and now a farmland. Of course, you've got Bill Gates, and eventually it will all be not that they've already got robots that can do it all.
Yeah,
so this is what they're aiming for.
There is definitely always a bit element of truth into that side of things, because obviously BlackRock are much smarter than the government. But I actually think the reason the Labour Party did it, because they wanted to go after tax, this tax loophole, and used a rather large hammer on a very small nail.
Well, also they go, the rich farmers.
Because
it's
yes,
that old
again,
socialist
we
thing.
had a DEFRA secretary that had never been to a farm and was lecturing farmers
They
on
don't
how
like
to run a
farmers.
farm.
They go, they're rich with their Range Rovers.
It is lazy stereotyping and the politics of envy.
The big problem is, yes, farmers are rich, fine.
A lot aren't.
The problem is with it, that wealth has almost no value whatsoever. So you go, oh, I own a £10 million farm and it earns 60 grand a year profit.
Exactly. That's sort of
Nobody's going to buy it.
No,
Nobody's
and you can't afford the inheritance
reality.
tax. You'd have to get a loan to pay it.
They just look at the spreadsheet numbers. They don't talk to people. This is the most stubborn and deaf government I think we've ever had for as long as I've been around. Because, yet again, these groups are screaming at the government, whether it be in business, whether it be farming.
Even the military. Our military is the weakest it's been.
28 billion short, the head of the military has been screaming all week.
We have the weakest military since 1500.
Yeah.
And that's just a fact.
Well, no, there's only 1,500 people in the military.
Yeah, not even that anymore,
But if you look once again at the Jeremy Clarkson situation, let's be clear what he did originally, as I understand it. Basically, he wants a big house in the Cotswolds, so he had to buy a farm.
Yeah.
So he doesn't want the farm. Then the guy that he's subletting it to retires. Right. So now he's left with this bloody thing. Now, it's probably worth 8 million quid, but it makes a profit of 30 grand.
Yeah.
Right. Now, if you turn round and say to another farmer, right, OK, well, so you need to pay inheritance tax, so you're going to have to sell, say, £1 million worth of land. Who's going to buy it?
Yes.
You can't walk into a bank
BlackRock.
You can't
That's where they're getting the land. That's how they're getting it.
You can't walk into a bank and go, give me £1 million loan so I can make 10 grand a year.
Well, to be fair, some banks you probably could. No, you make a really good point here. But yet again, it is that very big hammer on a very small nail that they don't even understand. And that's the problem. And we see it whether it be winter fuel allowance, whether it be anything in the military, the farmers, time after time after time, because there is no impact assessment. We found out today that there was no impact assessment of removal of juries. No. Nobody bothered to think, well, what's the consequence of this? And that's the problem.
Well, also, I mean, this renters' rights bill, New Zealand and Portugal have had it 5 years. They've just both reversed it because what it does, it stops it. It's failing.
Yeah.
It's just making no rentals. People are getting out of bid, so they've had to reverse it.
What scares me the most is that Sadiq Khan is on track to win the next mayoral election, a fact I find bizarre, but he wants the right to control rents.
Which everywhere that works.
Yes, and the guy who came up with the concept, the economist, spent the rest of his life begging people not to do it.
We had controlled rents in this country until about the 1930s, and that's why you've got a massive old 1930s properties, flats all over London and out of London, because that's what causes the boost in property. No regulation, just, you know.
Do you know what I always say about housing? Right. Let's just be clear. Everybody remembers when they were a kid that game called Musical Chairs. Right. Now, musical chairs.
Have a game in a
musical chairs is like the housing market. Right. There's 10 kids and 8 seats. Now, you can change the rules.
The music.
You can change the rules as many times as you like. If you say the slowest 2 kids can sit down first, that's fine. There's going to be another 2 kids that are displaced. And what upsets me, it seems to me that now what they're doing is they're basically saying, right, you can live in London, as an example, if you are very rich or destitute, right? And basically what happens is when we build all this social housing, we're going to give it to recent migrants, and the people who are not going to get anything, not even a look in, are the people who actually go out to work every day.
Yes, what makes it worse is that particular policy they brought in is, I think, it's the fact that they're going to say you've got to wait 10 years. That's when the stock goes to the
Can I just say one thing for those of you, and you will find this in your own cities, right? You get on that train into Waterloo, right, in London, and you go through masses of social housing, and we are in the ludicrous situation of the people who actually have jobs are having to commute 45 minutes, and the people that don't have jobs are conveniently located next to the office.
And 70% of them of social housing in central London, they weren't originally from Britain, of course.
No.
Anyway, I think we've got to take a break, haven't we? 03444991000, and we're going to be taking all your calls after the break, after the news. But we're with Pete. It's me and Andre on Talk. Give us a bell.
Across the UK. On DAB+. On YouTube. On your mobile. And on your side. This is Talk.
Okay, let's read some of the text messages. I've got to be honest with you, it was like about 3 hours behind, right, until we refreshed it. So we thought nobody had got in touch. We didn't want to admit it. Look, here's an alternative view from Drew in Victoria, British Columbia. You guys don't know what you're talking about. This was the lady who's been shot. She was asked to vacate her vehicle. Also, you don't mention the fact that the ICE individual last year was dragged by other protesters and ended up in hospital. Look, I've got to be honest with you. I think it's just a function of us being in Britain that we're very uncomfortable with people shooting someone
without a doubt.
on the grounds that they were.
We don't normally shoot. There was an incident last year, quite similar actually, where the policeman was in front of the car, and when they put themselves in, they're not meant to do that because you can always catch a car.
The one thing I don't like is this kind of point scoring. I don't really. The incident last year was probably horrific. This incident can equally be horrific. We have to stop this kind of us versus them. I mean, actually make sure.
But she was a mother of three. She was just a bit silly. A guy screamed at her with a balaclava going, "Move!" She's panicked and sort of just started.
Whether she's a mother of three or single and never, has 10 cats, for me that is rather irrelevant to the situation. It is about the actual people in terms of who's in the right, who's in the wrong.
He stood in front of the car. He shouldn't have been standing in front of it.
I completely agree.
But to be fair, it is easy for us in the United Kingdom to judge it by our standards. I remember something, with Oscar Pistorius, right? Okay, I don't know whether he's guilty or not guilty.
Well, he was guilty, wasn't he?
Well, he found guilty, to be fair. But let's just make one point. If there's any country in the world where you shoot first and ask questions later, it's South Africa, right? Yeah. I'm not saying that makes him innocent.
If he knows it's his girlfriend.
But at the end of the day, it's very easy. And we have a problem in this country because the police in Britain want it to be minimum force, not reasonable force, right? The reality is, as Drew effectively alludes to, you know what? This guy doesn't know she's not got a gun.
Yes.
Right? It is easy with hindsight. Easier with hindsight.
It's also...
Well, he didn't shoot her because he thought she might have a gun. He shot her because she drove at him, and that was because he stood in front of the car, which he shouldn't have done.
Yeah, I completely
She
agree.
was spooked and drove
On the
off.
issue of... I really don't like British people talking about American gun culture.
They are trigger happy.
Yeah, but... we don't have a culture of that here that most people think of. We do have a gun culture.
We have better trained armed police because we have specialists, whereas there everyone.
The other thing, I'll tell you what I heard about in America, and people forget this. You know those state troopers? They're incredibly well paid. I hadn't realised this. They pull somebody over, and you see the video of them with the gun or whatever. What I hadn't realised was, first of all, people are often armed. But secondly, if he radios for support, he might be 2 hours from the nearest police station by car. So he was very much on his own.
Oh, yes.
Right? And you think...
That's why they're very well paid.
When you start thinking like that, you think, I can understand why they're paranoid.
That's the thing. With every stop, it could be... the day you don't go home. That's the mentality that they have.
They wouldn't. This woman said, "Can I administer first aid?" They said, "No, stay there." And so she just obviously she was dead anyway, I think. But we used to. James had this friend who was a sergeant in Chicago, Central Chicago, for 30 years, and he never had to fire his gun ever once in his whole career. So it's not as common as we think. He drew his gun a lot, but that was enough. You just drew
Chicago, though, is an interesting example. It has some of the toughest gun laws, yet the highest murder rate by firearms.
Yeah, it used to be. I think it's
Miami
and Chicago.
More people died in in Chicago through gun violence one year than died in Iraq.
Really?
Yeah, that's why it used to be called Chirac.
Yeah. Well, of course, it's traditional with the Al Capone thing, isn't it?
By the way, let's read another comment. This is from Zarina. Hi, Andre, Ash and Pete. Labour needs the pubs to go. They want the buildings to turn into house of multiple occupancy or homes fit for Brits to get them off the waiting list.
They'll never be for the Brits. They'll never be for the Brits.
Yeah, they also need it so they break up communities a lot.
Oh, hang on a second.
That's what they want to do,
This show is over, isn't it? If you're listening...
Oh, Mark Dolan's next. Hello, I'm Mark Dolan. Join me after the news.
Yeah, OK.
See, that saves Mark doing a handover.
OK, Pete, final thoughts.
Pete's final thoughts.
This is quite an interesting week because we're dealing with a lot of consequences now. I look back to the Metropolitan Police having what is essentially predators with warrant cards now. This is a serious situation, and I need to know who's getting fired. This is the year people get fired.
Well, we
That's
saw
what we need
what
to
happened
make
with
it.
that guy that raped Sarah Everard and murdered her horrendous
Exactly.
other
His
people.
nickname in the police station was the pervert.
The rapist.
The rapist.
The rapist.
When we talk about red flags, this
sure-
was the people with the flames.
Sure, it was a therapist.
the theremin.
Yeah, his nickname was the rapist.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
0344 499 1000. It's all about your calls. We'll ring you back, but we've got Cindy, Darren, Robert.
It's like that bloke
Paula,
called Mr. Jihad.
John.
I know, yeah.
What a surprise.
Yeah. 0344 499 1000. Give us a call. It's all about your calls in the next hour. It's Andre and Ash. Thanks, Pete. It's Talk.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yeah, this is The Late Show with Andre Walker and Asher Gould. And I have to say, we were just talking about this ICE thing and the shooting and whatever. And one thing that strikes me, Asher, is this. The political left will now turn around and say, one ICE agent has shot someone, therefore we should abolish immigration controls in America. Right?
Yeah.
Like it's completely irrelevant, but who cares? Like let's
Anything to have a go at the country. I mean, we see there's a text there from Stephen. Why are the BBC not reporting the farmers' demonstration in Brussels, Paris, and parts of Germany? Why are they not reporting the current events in Iran? They're actually pro the IRGC, I think. I mean, I think they've actually been infiltrated in the BBC, and then you've got to obviously follow their lines, and they seem to be supporting the authoritarian.
By the way, can I say one other thing to all of you viewers and listeners out there? Stop listening to the BBC talk absolute bull. Right. Nicolas Maduro is not the president of Venezuela. He rigged the election, abolished or sort of undermined the national parliament, stacked the Supreme Court, and had his opponents killed. Right. The man lost the election. So when they go, you can't depose the president of another country. He's not the president of Venezuela. He's a guy who's a usurper. And frankly, I think the Americans have done a favour. And it just amazes me. All of these lefties who are well up for, interventions across the world under Tony Blair, all they've done is arrested the head of a cocaine cartel, and everyone's losing their shit.
I mean, and look, the government here, I think it was a coup the way they got rid of Boris Johnson with that Partygate, and then the person decided it got a very cushy job with the Labour Party when they became government.
Sue
and
Gray.
her son got a very safe seat. I mean, it was like we've been taken over by an enemy.
Absolutely. OK, well, Cindy is in Michigan. She normally comes on for a bit of a laugh, but obviously, Cindy, can you maybe update us on what's going on in this Minneapolis thing?
Yeah, actually, I was going to ask you if I could change the subject to the ICE shooting.
Please do.
We've changed it for you.
This is perfect. Yeah, thank you. And I want to say before we begin here that we can agree to disagree and still be friends, okay?
No.
Having said that, let's go.
Yeah.
So Cindy...
Do you think it was all right that she was shot, basically, Cindy? Because, I mean,
here's what let me tell you. She had been there all day.
Yes.
Obstructing ICE officers from doing their job.
So execute her.
Also, no, but also a car is a deadly weapon. He got in front of the car and they were ordering her to stop.
He shouldn't have been in front of the car, should he? That's protocol. A policeman should not stand in front of a car because you're actually causing them to shoot him then.
No, you're ordering to stop. I'm now in front of your car.
From the side, you should do that.
To stop.
OK, but Cindy,
He
stood in front.
Cindy, hang on a second, Cindy. Allow me to understand the following. So everything you've said is a good point. She's deliberately impeding law enforcement officers going about their work. The reason she's impeding them is she wants illegal migrants to remain in the United States of America, one would assume. So I get all that, but why not just open the door to the car and arrest her?
There was an officer on the side of the car trying to get the door open.
And he was doing the right thing. It was the policeman or the ICE agent standing in front of the car that caused this whole situation.
At that point, she
panicked. She got spooked. She's a mother. She's a bloke with a balaclava going, get out the car. She's just driving off.
But she's obstructing and impeding the law.
So arrest her. Don't kill her.
And then she's using a 1,600-pound deadly weapon.
That's because he stood in front of the car. If he wouldn't have been, she'd have just driven off. They'd have got her a minute later.
We haven't seen all the angles. We don't know if she looked like she was reaching for something at that point.
She wouldn't have been, was she? Driving off and reaching. It's pretty... Well, you could say that they could shoot anyone in that case, and you could just say, "Oh, I think." So
no. Be fair to Cindy. So to be fair, Cindy, you are not defending shooting somebody just for trying to impede an ICE agent. What you are saying is she was effectively attempting to attack him with the vehicle.
Yes.
Which she wasn't. She was trying to get away, and he was standing in front.
She accelerated, and also there have been many ICE officers that have been dragged.
What?
Because
killed.
They stood in front. At the side,
look,
the side of the car.
Okay, well, look.
The car, drag.
Okay.
That's how you drag a person. When I'm trying to open your car door, and you're going to drag me, and what if you drag me into a crowd of people and kill all these people?
When he shot her, the car just went off. She could have driven into a load of people.
I think we need to stop. Cindy, stay there for a second. I think we need to stop now, simply because you've made your point, Asher, and Cindy's made hers. You simply don't agree. Cindy, can you give us a sense of what people are saying about this in America? Has it just divided down political lines? Democrats think it's disgraceful. Republicans.
You've got the Trump people, and you have the right and the left, and they simply agree with whoever politically side that they're on.
Well, that's ridiculous, isn't it? Because I don't agree with letting all what she believed in, but I don't think she should have been shot like she did. So people should have some, just common decency and thought in their mind. Doesn't matter what their politics are.
And you know what, man? I'm just happy you're back, Ash. You've been gone too long. You should not be allowed.
Thanks.
Can I ask you another question? So first of all, I'm going to tell you from my point of view, there should be a proper investigation to see whether this shooting was justified or not. Not worried about that.
Is.
Okay.
Vance has already said he's immune from prosecution.
Sure. So that's what I think should happen, whether it will or not, whatever.
Yeah, they're having that investigation. The girlfriend was there.
Sure.
Filming the whole thing.
Sure, but here is the next point, right? So the whole, should there be immigration controls? The people who just want to let everybody in, it shouldn't be political. However, there is a question. There has been a suggestion that because Donald Trump expanded ICE so quickly, the quality of the training is not what it should be. Now that, I think, whatever way you look at it, at this instant would raise that question, wouldn't it?
And that's where the videos are going to come in to see from all angles exactly what, how it went down. And that they're currently doing that investigation. And you know what? And in all fairness, all sides should not be so quick to, including my side, should not be so quick to jump to a side.
What has happened in America, it seems to me, you invented something that we have now adopted, which is this: to have two completely different immigration policies. One that exists in legislation on paper, which everybody ignores, and the other one which basically says anybody can come to the country and we will never deport them. That's what it seems.
Right.
That's what happened.
Yeah.
And there's this outrage that people are being deported.
I'm a very law-abiding person, and I'm by the book. Especially if you have done, like, they're trying to go after, and they're trying to focus on illegals that have already committed crimes. Not to say that they're not arresting other illegals, but they're trying to focus on those. And I'm for that. There's been 12-year-old girls that have been raped and disposed of like trash.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing is when they had to go.
It's happening.
I know. Yeah, I remember Seb Gorka talking about
when they had. I mean, it made me laugh when they had to go at Donald Trump in his first term, when he decided that he was going to take children away from their parents. Right. Let's just be clear on a couple of things. A, that was the law. B, it was passed by Barack Obama. And C, the parents were going to jail. No country in the world other than North Korea jails children because their parents have committed a crime.
Who's that? Who's that, Cindy?
Well, and I just wanted to.
Have you got a man with you?
Yes, my husband. He wants me to tell you that at the time of the shooting, he had his arm out ready to.
Can you
shoot,
put your husband on the phone?
It's a reaction.
Can we speak to him?
Okay. I want you on the phone.
Thank you.
Hello,
right,
Mr.
Hey,
Cindy.
how you guys doing?
All right, what's your name?
I like you guys. I watch your show all the time.
Thank
but
you.
I just need to say...
What's your name, though, first?
If you look at... What's that?
Is it Brad?
Oh, my name is Jacob.
Jacob. All right, Jacob.
We've been married 16 years.
Yeah, we've been
Mazel
married
tov. 16 years.
All right, so remember this.
Yes.
If you look at all the camera views that they have, he has his weapon trained on her because the guy's trying to get her out of the vehicle.
Yes.
She hits the gas.
Yeah.
And when he gets clipped by the car, you can see his arm go up, and it forces. And me being military, it forces the person who already has the weapon trained on her to squeeze the trigger.
Because the arm's been hit, the tendon in the arm, you mean?
Right. It forces it up and squeeze the trigger.
Yeah.
So at that point, he's still not at fault.
Yeah.
Because it was the vehicle that caused the weapon to go off.
But what about the 2 shots after when he was at the side of her?
At the side of her?
Yeah,
well,
when
at that point it's like,
But are these?
she's already trying to drag the person. He's slipping on the ground. Fires.
But Jacob.
Fires.
Jacob.
But
Jacob.
I still have to say this.
Yeah.
She was already probably dead or dying.
Yeah, the first shot, I think.
When he shot her the first time.
But Jacob.
So I wouldn't even count the other 2 shots.
So, okay. But Jacob, allow me to ask this question, because this to me is the pivotal point. Right, so, just to be clear, there are protests now when ICE are operating, and those protests are to say, we know the law says illegal migrants shouldn't be here, right? We know that a president has been elected to enforce that law. What we are now attempting to do is to say we support illegal migrants remaining in the United States of America. We oppose their lawful expulsion. We oppose the legislation. We're not going to try and change the law. We're going to say the law says they shouldn't be here, but we don't give a toss. These people are literally campaigning for illegal migrants to be illegally left in America, aren't they?
Exactly. The left wants them there.
And they want to destroy ICE and the police.
The right and the center have said politically that they are in the wrong for even entering the country without doing it legally.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but it's like the United Kingdom. The reality is we have as I said before, we have an immigration system that exists simply on paper. Right? It has no relevance to what actually goes on. What actually goes on is if you arrive on a small boat in the UK, you are staying. Fact.
But if you follow the law, you'll end up with big bills and you could get rejected.
Right, which is why we're in the situation we are with the right and the left. But the problem, the issue is that the left is wrong in this instance. They constantly, the woman you're talking about in that vehicle has tried to obstruct and block police from making arrests in that state.
But one would assume, but Jacob,
she was counted.
But Jacob,
and she's not even from that state.
Sure, Jacob. One would assume that the real issue here is this: there are a coterie of people of whatever size in number that are not numerous enough in order to bring in a policy of uncontrolled immigration. So what they've done instead is that they have got the levers of power and meticulously and systematically ignored the law. They basically said, we don't agree with immigration controls. We don't give a toss that that is the law of the land. We don't give a toss that the majority of Americans want controls. We're going to put ourselves in a position to open the floodgates illegally and against the wishes of the American people.
Yes.
Which in a way is treason, isn't it?
It is. But that group is Antifa. We're trying to find out who they are and who's funding them and put them in jail.
Well, they are like a terrorist group now, what they do, certain things.
They are. They're a prescribed terrorist group in the United States.
Oh, they are.
It's a remarkable thing because I would very simply take the view, and this is what I would like to happen in Britain. If you want uncontrolled immigration, pass it in Parliament. What's actually happening is we have got strict immigration controls, but nobody even reads a word of the legislation.
Well, the EU,
the whole thing about the whole thing with Brexit, and this is why I bring Brexit up. That was the perfect time to put those stipulations into effect and make them even stricter, and then get out of the ECHR, because technically you're not even in the ECHR.
But the irony is we've enshrined.
You've already pulled out.
We've enshrined our ECHR in our law. European countries in the EU haven't, so they can ignore the ECHR and we can't. Which is just the irony of it. We've got live footage on screen of the protests at the moment in Minneapolis going on, and it seems quite peaceful at the moment. People walking with American flags and signs, but yes, quite sizable, just walking peacefully down the street.
Because go ahead.
I was just going to talk about New York. What's your view on the new mayor there? It's a nightmare, isn't it?
Don't get me started. Don't get me started on New York.
Yeah.
Well, let's just say this. He's going to put Sharia law into place there if he hasn't already, and he's allowing immigrants in and constantly.
Yeah.
They're possibly, with the left and the right being the way they are right now, there's probably likely another civil war coming, and I don't like it.
Yeah, I know. Well,
the real problem. A lot of people say to understand America, you have to look at Britain. I slightly disagree with that. I think you need to look at Switzerland. Switzerland isn't really a country in the conventional sense. It's like 28 counties that work together, but all of those counties are very different. The idea of the United States of America originally was this, that there would be a plurality of different states, all doing different things. So, you could move to any one of them if you wanted, but they would all be different. And what has happened with things like, as an example, gay marriage, the federal government increasingly is trying to make every state the same. And that is grossly unfair. And it was not the intention of the American Republic for the federal government to tell them all what to do. The idea was each state would do its own thing and reflect what its people wanted.
Well, that's not happening here. The whole thing is what is happening is the left think that the right is doing that.
Yeah.
But the right has not taken any of the rights away from anybody that's gay, transgendered, or anything else. They took DEI away because it was racist against white people now.
Yes.
So they stopped the DEI, and now they think that their rights have been taken away. No.
By the way,
they've still got it in New York, though.
We're gonna have to go to a break, but I want to tell you, Jacob and Cindy, something that I hope you will take to your neighbours. Right. First of all, the White House is a disgrace, and I'll tell you why it's a disgrace. It is far too small for an executive mansion. It's one of the smallest ones in the world. Right. Up until fairly recently, they used to have to hold state banquets in a tent in the garden. Right. The reality is, Donald Trump has made some effort to mitigate the fact that that place is far too small. But if I was American president, I would move out into a place that's actually big enough, because I don't know if you know, Buckingham Palace is do you know
Southfork?
Do you know Buckingham Palace is 17 times the size of the White House? 17.
Yeah.
I mean,
so put that up your pipe and smoke it.
The attempt to hold drinks receptions, and they've got to do it in the garden because they've not got rooms big enough. As I say, state banquets have to happen in tents.
We've got ballrooms coming out of our ears.
Well, remember, the White House is only showing what's on top. What do you know about what's underneath the White House?
It's an iceberg.
What I know is that in terms of function space, it is critically undersized.
Apparently, there's rats all running around the West Wing.
I would agree with that. So I don't condemn Trump for making it a little bit bigger, and he should make it even bigger than that.
He's an expert builder, isn't
he?
He
put his own money.
Yeah, and if it's not theirs, it'll be the Emirates' money.
But I mean, the other point before we go, just to be clear, the White House was pretty much the only head of state mansion in the world that didn't have a ballroom. Right? They've all got one.
Is it true that it's white because we British bombed it, and it's a myth, that, isn't it?
No. So we burnt it down, and the British commander ate James Madison's dinner because he ran so quickly. But it was white before. I mean, it would have to be white now because the bricks all burnt. Yeah, but it was white before.
Anyway, thanks, Cindy. And anything else, Jacob?
Thank you.
Oh,
we love you.
No, I'm good. I just wanted to add some points in and let you guys know that, you know, in America, it's not really shoot first. It's try to get them to stop, get them out if you can. And if they take off and then they try to hit you, it is a felony, not only assault or whatever. It is actually considered attempted murder. So
okay, well, thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, got it. I think one point that I would make in defence of the Americans that have got in touch, it is very clear, Asher, that in America, everyone knows that if you attempt to drive at a police officer, he's going to shoot you. In their defence, at least they do know that. Anyway, that was really helpful having Cindy and Jacob. I think it's interesting. We will see where it goes. But I'll tell you one thing that I think is abject stupidity. What this guy did or did not do is not a justification for abolishing ICE and opening up the floodgates. No. More next.
Across the UK. On DAB+. On YouTube. On your mobile. And on your side. This is Talk.
Right, you know what? If you live long enough, you see something once. Asher, is that the first time you've got truly upset about an issue that's quite random?
No, I do occasionally, don't I? Not upset, you know, I just...
Oh, you were very animated. People have got in touch saying that, that you're
yeah,
very...
someone didn't like it, yeah. I don't know, yeah. I wasn't... Well, you know, this... She's a mother. Minneapolis is very close to my heart, as you know.
I don't even know where it is.
No, 3 children lost their mother, and I think it was excessive force. They could have got her later on. She wasn't going to pull a gun. They knew that, and the bloke was stood in front of the car, and I just think it was excessive what happened. Anyway, let's go. John in London.
Hi, Ash.
All right, John.
Hi, Andrew.
Hello.
I remember Ash remembers me from James Wales times.
That's right.
Sorry, don't assert that because he hasn't confirmed it. Ash remembers me, does he?
Hey, John.
Yes, the best one I heard this week was that when they got Maduro, Trump asked them, they told him, we got him. So he said, who did you get? They said Maduro. Said, no, I told you to get Mamdani.
He'll be next.
Yeah.
Why is that Mamdani? He's always got that funny smile, and then he waves like this, doesn't he? Like that. He goes. You probably can't see it. In a few seconds, you'll see it. Like.
He got in because of the youth vote in America. The youth are very much pro.
And they say the female vote as well, which is often they say they go more to the left because they're nurturing, caring, and they think he's going to be a caring mayor.
Yeah, I want to make a few points. Yeah, I want to make a few points regarding this. First of all, this shooting in Minneapolis.
Yeah.
First of all, the whole tone against the ICE agent coming into the cities is by the mayors. It's like a power struggle. The people want to be safe in the streets, and the local, they're stopping it. If they have a police force, but they're not effective. Everybody's scared. They're going to be
because they're a sanctuary. ICE are enforcing the law. Basically, they're saying we've got to get people out who shouldn't be here.
Yeah, and one of the interesting things about Trump, about this capturing Maduro, that the New York Times and the Washington Post knew about it, then Congress. Why is that? Because the legislators are trying to stop Trump, and the people which read the newspapers, they are backing Trump. So he made that calculation that the people should know about it first and be happy that he's doing the business, taking care of things, not just writing things on books. Yeah. And then the lawmakers should know it. So basically, every time when he's trying to make people safe, he's going to get the backlash from local authority. Oh, it's a city. We have police. Well, we don't have. Because there's so many murders, so you don't have police.
But once again, can I just put this point to you?
Yeah, sure.
What I find really, really shocking about this, and as I say, in Britain we've started copying this. Look, what should happen is this: you should go, look, I do not agree with ICE throwing these people out. Therefore, I am going to try and pass a law to allow immigration to be uncontrolled. What they're doing instead is they're saying, we know that the law says that this is what's supposed to happen. We're not going to challenge the law. We're simply going to try to stop these people acting lawfully in deporting illegal aliens. That is to say, we don't care what the law says. We've decided on our own authority that immigration should be uncontrolled.
Yeah, but there's something that can be done in the States that can't be done here. Everything can be stopped by a judge. And that became a complete laughter in the States when every time they found a judge to charge Trump, and people say, oh, the judge said, and people start laughing about it. So every time when you do something, you go to court and you have a judge to stop it, and you get another judge to stop it. So everything can be held up in the courts. That's why Trump does things his way. And he won't win. Everything. It's counted. He lost count how many fights he had with the courts. Yeah. But at the end of the day, streets are more safe in Washington D.C. if people want to admit it or not, or in Chicago, because they know that the ICE agents are there. Now, it's a bit controversial point that I'm going to make about this. It's a mistake, and maybe you sound like a little bit like Al Sharpton, like apologizing, killing them innocent people. Listen, this driver tried to run off that police officer.
I don't think she did. I think she panicked, she got spooked and drove off, and the couple was standing in front of the car. which he shouldn't have been.
It can be argued in a court. Yeah, it's a possibility. But there's other things. That law that he shouldn't stay in front of a car was made before. We have a very short memory. People used to take cars and run into people and kill masses of people. Almost an everyday story. Once people are running into other people, you don't know where this car is going. Maybe you have to change the law. And if you find somebody is, if you think they're threatening, then be safe and take them out.
But they actually shot her and she drove because she was dead. Her foot pushed to the floor and it just drove off aimlessly. Could have killed a load of people.
Well, she could have killed with a car other people. She could have.
She obviously wasn't. She was trying to get away. She obviously wasn't a terrorist because she'd been there for a long time.
Well, we could be very kind. Could be. I'm not sure. Could be. And the point what I'm trying to make about the police is every time the masses are going to uprise when they have the defense from like a mayor or a governor to say that Donald Trump is wrong. So the reason why they don't get protests now, because the federal law, J.D. Vance said it's immune from prosecution. And that actually is for their own safety.
Do you remember the woman who jumped through the Capitol window and just got shot dead? I mean, that just seemed excessive as well.
But hang on a second, John. Hang on a second. Roll me back there for a second, because I simply don't agree with what you've just said, or at least I don't think I do. So what is the argument in favour of saying they get immunity from prosecution? Surely what you would say is, if they've acted lawfully, they will not be prosecuted. If they've acted unlawfully, they will be.
You can't give them a licence to kill.
Well, exactly.
It's not like the Wild West. They are trained, and they're trained very hard how to fight street, how to fight wars. They are army. They're not regular police, and they have very tough training. And mistakes will happen. Mistakes will happen everywhere. And I'm not saying that, but if you were talking about the officer charged for murdering innocent people, that's no.
But with respect, John, that is what J.D. Vance is saying is justified. Because if you were to say, I believe this person has operated legally, therefore we're not going to prosecute them, that is one thing. But actually saying we're going to give them immunity from prosecution, that is to say, one would assume if the man let off a machine gun and just randomly killed 50 people, he would be allowed to do that because of immunity.
I'll tell you how I interpreted what J.D. Vance said.
I don't think he gave immunity for the future. He said this guy has got immunity.
What he's saying is instead of having this theater that every time when there's an officer charged, they're going to be a whole theater and people are going to protest in the streets. He says, listen, you're not going to have a dance over here. That's what he meant.
What about George Floyd? I mean, that was murder, wasn't it?
Yeah,
he would have got away with it then.
It was murder, but it was always it was made out of a theater much more.
John,
holidays and this whole
John, is the problem here? And this is just a guess. Is the problem here that J.D. Vance is concerned that a hostile local government, a hostile police force, a hostile state will deliberately attempt to prosecute the ICE agent even if they know he's not guilty, just in order to derail Trump's plan?
100%. Minneapolis is like little France.
Fine.
Half of it is France. Half of it is Somali. It's almost not the United States. That's Trump's argument. They find any excuse to prosecute the law officer.
Right. So basically, what J.D. Vance is saying, I believe this person acted lawfully. I'm giving them immunity because I believe that there will be a vexatious prosecution by the state of Minnesota
100%,
because they're lefties.
100%. He just won't say it.
Fine. Okay, well, John, thank you so much. Asher, I think we go.
I think there's a case to answer. Yeah, we've got a little breaky, haven't we, at this juncture? But we'll reconvene in a couple of minutes. It's Talk with Andre and Ash.
Across the UK. On DAB+. On YouTube. On your mobile. And on your side. This is Talk.
By the way, thank you to everybody who's been in touch to say the actual ICE agent involved in this incident in Minnesota had previously been seriously injured by being dragged along by a car when a protester sort of drove at him. He had 33 stitches. Now, is that relevant? It shouldn't be, but it's going to affect your judgment, isn't it?
You've got to look at every individual case.
It's bound to affect your judgment, whether you like it or not. Ken is in London. Ken, you're on Talk.
Good morning. I would like to talk about something much more important, sad as it is for that woman to die, but I'd just like to make a quick comment about this situation. Yeah. The woman was potentially and willfully attempting to murder a policeman. Don't forget that.
Yeah.
But I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about the coming mark of the beast.
She was trying to get away.
Six. Now, last week, Keir Starmer publicly announced that he and the Labour Party were going to introduce soon, possibly, a compulsory digital identification system.
The mark of the beast.
Now, it's not the mark of the beast, but it's heading towards that, Ash. He specifically stated that those who are without this coming digital ID would not be able to work. They would be excluded from working. Now, this has got a prophetic edge to it, because this is prophesied in the Bible. You can read it in Revelation chapter 13. When the Antichrist appears on the scene, and nobody knows who he is, when he appears with the false prophet, who will very possibly be the Pope, he is going to enforce a new economic order, a marking system established upon the mark of the beast 666. And that mark, which could be a barcode tattoo or a chip, when that goes on the body, that means that the person has sold their soul to worship the devil, and they will go to hell.
Can I ask you this, Ken? Ken, well, it's definitely serious, and I don't disagree with you, but look, Keir Starmer thinks of himself as a good person. I think that he is a bad person, not because he's personally evil. I don't know the man, but because what he's doing to the country is evil. So whatever he thinks, but is your view that he is an evil man, or is he somebody just so deluded and so without any moral compass that he's doing it all accidentally?
I think he's deluded, Andre. He's deluded.
Yeah,
but hold on. You think communists are the Antichrist, like that guy? What was his name?
Mick Lynch.
Mick Lynch. So wouldn't Keir Starmer come under Antichrist?
But you see, every atheist is deluded. They deny the revelation of God in creation. But the thing I just want to draw our attention to, if it's okay, if you don't mind, right now, this world, we have all been programmed to accept a specific identification number. Your passport number, your national insurance number.
Yeah.
The government can just press the banks. You enter the bank, you get your number. They can get your whole life story in front of them. Yeah. Now, this is the world being programmed to accept a mark, not on a card, but on the body, on the right hand or the forehead. We've been programmed. And the world situation is going to get so desperate, the world will gradually take support of the coming Antichrist and take the mark of the beast. Don't take it. Those who take the mark condemn themselves to the eternal lake of fire.
The problem is with that, Ken. So, first of all, let me just say the basics. I agree with you, and I'll tell you why. Because this government is not interested in making the world a better place. They're interested in offing with the elderly and offing with unborn children, right? They're interested in forcing everybody to be microchips or whatever it is, have digital ID. They're interested in trying to abolish juries so their judges can lock you up. They're trying to bring in new magistrates that are on side. They're trying to abolish elections. All of those things. But the big problem is that people are being bullied into this, and so somebody who ends up with a digital ID, it's not their fault they're being bullied.
And you have freedom of religion in law, so you're saying that your religion would prevent you from taking these ID cards?
Well, the only one who's going to refuse to take this card will be those who believe in Jesus Christ. But
and other people who don't want ID cards.
But here's a thought for us. Here's a thought for everybody. This was written approximately 2,027 years ago by John the Apostle, who knew nothing about the ID system, the computer system. Yep. And God gave him knowledge. And this is what he said. If you'll allow me to... Go
for it, Ken.
This is in Revelation 13, that the Antichrist and the false prophet, they will cause all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark or the name of the beast, the number of his name.
Ken,
number is 666.
Ken, can I tell you one thing? Let's combine what you've said with what Asher said. Right, so you heard everyone what Ken said. If this national ID card comes in, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to say, as a Christian, it's against my religion to do it. That's Revelation. You can do it as a Jew as well. So what we'll all do is we'll go, we've got freedom of religion.
Freedom of religion, yeah.
You heard what he read out, that you cannot not have a universal marking system. That's plainly an ID card, very obviously. So we don't have to do it, Ken. Ken, I thank you.
It was me that said that.
Sorry, go on.
Thanks anyway, Ken.
But the mark that Stammer's talking about here, the digital ID, this is not the mark of the beast. This is only a prototype for the mark of the beast that is coming. So everybody get serious about this. Jesus the King is coming soon. He loves us. He died for us. He rose from the dead.
All right, Ken. Thank you so much, Ken. Thank you. I've got to say to you, what he has just read out is very clearly a reference to a universal ID scheme. Very clearly, very clearly.
He did speak to God, and God told him.
So let me tell you, it's against my religion to have an ID card. Oh yeah, baby. Right, come on, let's go to John in West Yorkshire. John,
are you in Lead or Wakey?
Well, I'm in Wakey, boys. How's it going anyway?
We're doing all right, yeah. I've missed Asher a little bit, so he's back today.
It's good to be back, man.
Yeah, I've missed him. He usually sings to me when I come on.
Here's John from West Yorkshire. Any requests? What do you want to talk about then, John? Minneapolis?
Yeah, I want to talk about this shooting. I tell you what, boys, for me, you can agree or disagree, it's up to you, but for me, I think it was 6 of one and half a dozen of other. I certainly wouldn't want to be the one investigating it, let's put it that way. The reason I think it's a bit half and half is because ICE agents, they wanted her gone, didn't they? And, they wanted her out of way. And in the end, they scared her enough to want to leave, They wanted her, she wanted to get gone. They should have just let her get gone.
Yeah. And then they could have arrested her later easily.
Well, maybe, potentially so. But they could have got on with the job that they were there to do, yeah? Now, this is what's going to get me, this is what gets me a little bit cross. The other half of it is, what business did she have in stopping ICE agents from doing a job that they were there to do?
I agree with that.
But that's an arrest. She should be arrested for that, though, not shot.
I mean, it's literally what we've been complaining about all the time, which is, and we've seen lots of examples in the UK. She personally does not agree with the law in the United States of America, so she has decided that she has a right now to stop law enforcement agents doing what they are lawfully obliged to do because she doesn't agree.
Precisely. So, yeah, who does she think she is to think that, exactly like you just said. Now, I agree with you, Ash. I agree with you. They didn't need to shoot her.
No, I agree. She was in the wrong. Of course, what she was doing was illegal, but what I'm saying, it was excessive.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this is what I mean. Yeah, they should have just let her go. They should have just let her go. They wanted her out of way. She was going to get out of way. They should have just let her go. They could have done what they wanted to do. But this is what's going to annoy me now, because now all she's now become to the political left is a martyr.
Yes.
She's now a political martyr where the political left can just scream and shout louder. And I don't want it to happen, boys. I really don't.
Yeah, what they will say... What they will say is
going to be another George Floyd.
What they will say is they will say she was executed for attempting to stop innocent members of the public being rounded up and deported, which is, of course, am I allowed to say it, bollocks.
Of course, yeah, absolutely, 100% utter, an absolute big pair of them.
All right, let's leave it there, John. I think we're breaking, are we?
Yeah, let's do that. We'll take a breakie. 034. Well, actually, we won't have time for calls. You can leave us a voice memo, though. 03444991000 on WhatsApp. Andre and Ash on Talk.
Oh, yeah.
Across the UK. On DAB+. On YouTube. On your mobile. And on your side. This is Talk.
Yes, and by the way, we're back. Me and Asha.
We're
Obviously,
back,
Asha takes the Christmas break off.
Yeah.
Equal
opportunities for all religions. I take all the religious holidays off.
What did you get up to? Anything exciting, or did you just chill out?
Just chilled out, man. It was lovely. Yeah, well, Barbados, but that is
Did
just,
you?
I don't do anything. Yeah, but I just chill out there. It's basically like home from home. Yeah, Jez has got a place out there.
Does he?
Yeah. Has he not asked you out there? He never invited you. All the presenters were there. Julia, we were all there. Alex, Trisha's out there at the moment. Petri, got a great tan. It's fantastic. It's fantastic out there. Yeah, I don't know why he hasn't. Anyway, we better. Christo's Masso's thing.
In case, I mean, I know this isn't true, but let's just be clear. I used to live down the road from Jeremy Kyle, and I went, Jeremy, we should meet up sometime. And he went, I'm not allowing you in my house. And then he just straight out said that.
That's why, yeah.
He just straight up, I'm not letting you in my house. All right, son, calm it.
Very sensible. Have we got a voice message flooded in on the Panasonic? It's flashing there, isn't it? Who is this? It's silent, so we won't play that. Let's go to Yasmin the Witch.
Hiya, darlings. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year.
Great.
Thanks.
I hope you had a good time off and relaxed.
Yeah, man. Merry Christmas for yesterday, because it was the Orthodox Christmas yesterday.
Yeah, it definitely was.
Yeah.
By the way, Ash, I definitely agree with you about that lady. It was too heavy-handed.
Yeah.
They could have tased her. Or they had a registration of a car.
Yeah.
They could have let her go and got her later at her house.
Exactly.
I feel they're on a power trip. The other thing I'll say about President Trump is he was voted in to get rid of the immigrants, the illegal immigrants.
Yeah.
But what people believed when he was talking, that he was going to get rid of the gangs and the criminals and the rapists. They didn't realise that he was going to get rid of the people who work in the local grocery shops.
And that may well, Jasmine, that may well be true, but the law in the United States of America does not say if you come here illegally, as long as you don't commit crime, you will become a legal citizen. That's not what it says.
Yes, but what you're seeing is that the people in the communities, especially industry as well, who used to use local immigrants for cheap labour, i.e. in the crops, in the fields, in the factories, even they're upset about it.
Well, they would be, because it's cheap labour for them, isn't it?
He's going after people who are law-abiding, paying taxes, and is not...
But they're employing illegal immigrants, so that's not legal, is it?
No, but it was done under it's like the black market.
I mean, look,
that's illegal, isn't it?
Look, what Yasmin, hang on a second.
The gangs.
What Yasmin is saying is correct, but I find it even more frustrating that she's right, which is this. The United States of America has decided to completely ignore its immigration policy and rely on millions and millions of people who simply are not legally in the country. Now, look, it doesn't bother me what your immigration policy is, but if you're going to pass the policy, you've got to stick to it. Now, what you might want to do is alter it and say, OK, we're going to let more people in to pick avocados or whatever. Fine. But that's not what they've done. What they've done is they've said the law says these people are not legally here. We're going to keep them anyway. Oh, it's just nonsense.
Yeah, but there's also the fact that this woman has children and they've lost a mother.
Yes.
And the other thing is, they could have tased her.
Well, I don't think they had time. They had their guns out. They should have just let her go and got her later.
Why did he stand at the side in front of the car? And
That's
also,
the thing, yeah.
when he was injured, he walked off very calmly. Yeah. But you know the worst thing about it, Ash?
What?
You know the worst thing?
They wouldn't let a first aid administer first.
A medical guy, a doctor on site.
They wouldn't let him
near. He said, let me feel for a pulse. Have you checked for a pulse? And they said, we've got medical with us. 15 minutes later, they let the medical. So to me, they let her bleed out.
I think she was dead anyway. I mean, it was 3 headshots. I think she was dead instantly, pretty much.
Listen, to me, it's an assassination.
Yeah, I agree. And I remember Trump saying, if you do anything, I've told ICE they can do what they want. And I think they have gone on a bit of a power trip. But, you know, they've got... like we've had it over here. If you have a go at the armed police, they all go on strike and they need their ICE agents. So there is that way.
I mean, I think there is one other thing. So
Two things I'll say as well. Why do ICE agents have all these face wraps round the face? FBI don't have
well,
that.
for security, because they'd see who they are and they could get attacks around their house from Antifa and people like that. I mean,
police don't have that. FBI don't have that. CIA.
Well, they do. I think I think some of our police will cover their faces.
Ours are different. They don't carry guns.
Well, some do.
I will say one thing though, and thank you, Yasmin. We're going to move on now, but it is also worth pointing out that by shooting her, they prevented whatever it was she was going to do. And look, instinctively, I'm with Asher, if I'm being totally honest. I think they went too far. But it is worth pointing out that whatever the incident was stopped by shooting her. Therefore, it could well be that it escalated in some way. I don't know. But, I mean, instinctively, I'm with Asher. But I just thought I'd make that point. OK, let's go to Darren in Bermuda. Darren, you're on talk.
How are you?
All right, man. Yeah, how is it in Bermuda? Be careful out there. People disappear in the Bermuda Triangle.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
I think we've kind of moved on from my original call.
Well, you were going to talk about grok there, and you are you on hands-free, Darren?
I am, yeah.
Can you use your hand?
Just putting it up.
All right. If you're driving, obviously don't. But if you've pulled over...
I'm just putting back to home now. I'm just back at home now.
All right.
So yeah, this grok business, and I've never heard of it before.
Yeah.
And it sounded quite concerning, to be honest.
Yes. And it says here you've got Tesla shares and you would consider selling it if grok continues like this. Would that be on financial reasons because you think the share price will go down, or morality reasons?
Well, no morality. It's morality.
Yeah.
So I have 2 young daughters.
Yeah.
And so if I'm understanding the situation correctly, that somebody could possibly take a picture of my daughter from Facebook and then post it on grok and put a bikini on her at 3 years old.
I don't know if there's limits on the child, because AI can tell ages of people. Obviously, it depends, but hopefully it wouldn't do that. But if it would, that is horrendous. Well, it's horrendous anyway, but especially with children.
Yeah. So the morality aspect is, well, that's not going to happen. I can't have that. I can't have that.
No, I mean the other thing, of course, they're going, if you create anything illegal, you'll get into trouble. Well, the point is, a photo of a kid in a bikini is not illegal. It's just grossly distasteful in that circumstance. So ultimately, what are you going to do? You can't prosecute. I just don't understand why they don't disable...
Would it be considered a sexual... Because wouldn't the court have to decide, even though she's in a bikini, it's a sexual image of a child?
I think that's possible. But just a straight-up picture of a kid in a bikini...
Yeah. Well, they used to sell them in some of these supermarkets. You remember, very inappropriate stuff for kids.
But what makes it inappropriate is that it's being published by somebody who doesn't know the kid, right? If it's your holiday snaps you've got at home, it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah, of course. But somebody taking an image from... By the way, I can't stand social media. I think it's a scourge of our life and it's going to destroy the world eventually. And AI is then going to follow that.
Maybe it already is destroying the world.
My call, I suppose, is moralistically now, I can't stand for that. But financially, if Elon Musk is going to be the first trillionaire and Tesla is going to follow that, the share price goes up. So financially, that could benefit my family. So... Where do I personally...
It's a quandary.
Yes, it's a quandary.
I mean, I've got to be honest with you.
So what, are you going to side with morality, or are you going to look at the money as being more important than your morals?
I'm going to have to side with morality eventually, if it doesn't...
Eventually?
You know, like...
Wait till what the share price does and then decide.
Maybe in its infancy, and then they'll realise, oh my God, this is being used negatively, so we'll stop it. But if it continues, then I have to go the morality route and sell my shares regardless, because I can't stand what they're standing for.
I've got to be honest with you. I don't understand why he doesn't disable that particular feature.
It's not going down well.
Anyway, Darren, thank you so much. Kevin is in Basingstoke, presumably for an alternative view. You've got a couple of minutes, Kevin. Go for it.
Yeah, I think this was murder. She was just protesting. She was trying to get around the car that was in front of her. The wheels were turning away from the people that were on her left, and they shouldn't open fire on a moving vehicle. I mean, a bystander could have been shot. Also, the car sped down the road. I mean, if anybody, she went into the back of that car. If anybody had been stood at the in front of that car, they could have been killed.
And he shouldn't have been standing in front of the car as well.
Kevin, do you draw a distinction, as I do, between people who are protesting, i.e. standing with a placard, and people who are deliberately trying to impede other people going about their lawful business?
Yeah, but I don't think they are. It's not lawful business. They're just going after random people.
No, it is the law. It is the law that illegal immigrants are not allowed in America. That is the law.
They are going for those people.
She is not protesting. I'm not saying she should have died for it, but she's not protesting. What she's doing is trying to prevent ICE agents doing what they are legally entitled to do.
Yeah, but they're not going. They're not. They haven't got any. They're not got documents going after certain people. They're just going after random people.
But they're allowed to do. It's legal what they're doing.
But she's not standing there saying, in the particular case of this person, I believe you've got the wrong person. She is saying, and lots of other people are saying, my protest is to simply prevent you doing what you are legally entitled to do.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, just shooting that
I'm not saying you should shoot her. I'm just saying it's exactly the same as when I was at Windsor Guildhall. The people at that Trump dinner did not protest. What they did was sought to disrupt it. They didn't stand outside with a placard. They came inside, and I just think you should draw a distinction between those two things.
The thing is, she's